The British Gas Swim Britain Challenge is a great way to get the whole nation involved, be more healthy, be more active.
It's a giant relay race. We need teams of 4, so hopefully lots of people can get involved. Swim Britain are providing training sessions. This will encourage people to see the benefits of improvements.
Swim Britain will really help me break away from my busy schedule, just get away from everything.
That element of teamwork and training in a group is great fun. You know, anyone can swim, no matter what your kind of fitness or sport and background.
That's what's brilliant about this, is that it is a team event. It just makes it so much more fun. You can all cheer each other, support each other on.
I want to take part in Swim Britain because I want to get fitter, lose some weight and make a permanent change to my exercise routine.
So make sure you sign up to this amazing challenge. You never know, I could be on your team.
Take a drink at the ocean and treading water there before a drown. Let's dive, I wanna dive to the bottom of the ocean. I took a ride, I wouldn't go there without you. Let's take a ride, we'll take a ride, I wouldn't leave here without you. I am a mountain, I am the sea. You can't take that away from me. I am a mountain, I am the sea. You can't take that away from me. 'Cause you tear us apart with all the things you don't like. You can't understand that I won't leave till we're finished here. And then you'll find
I'm Catherine Granger and I'm a champion in my life, and I back the bid for Glasgow to host the 2018 Youth Olympic Games.
Hi, I'm Robbie Rennick. I'm Commonwealth champion. I'm supporting Glasgow's bid for the 2018 Youth Olympic Games.
I'm Michael Jameson, I'm a champion in my life, and I support Glasgow's bid to host the Youth Olympic Games in 2018.
Hi, I'm Neil Facky. I'm a Paralympic champion, and I'm a champion in my life, and I'm backing Glasgow 2018.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and I'm a champion in my lifetime, and I'm supporting the Glasgow 2018 Youth Olympic bid.
I am the sea.
Good morning from the International Swimming Centre here at Tollcross in Glasgow. We've reached day 4 and a warm welcome to Quipu TV's live coverage of the Scottish Gas National Swimming Championships. So, as we have done over the last 3 days, we'll be bringing you the very best of action today from the top quality of Scotland's swimming talent. So I'm Duncan McKinnell, and I'm joined today by Ali Wyke, the Scottish Swimming Performance Director. So welcome back, Ali. You know you were on with Drew on Friday. It's great to have you back.
Morning, Duncan. Delighted to be here.
So we are going to be bringing you the action during the course of the day. We have 3 sessions today, morning heats, afternoon heats, and then a spectacular finale this evening with our day 4 finals. So Ali, 3 days in, 1 day to go. What's your view of things so far?
Well, I think overall the meets run pretty well, and there's been some fantastic competition out there, and I think sometimes we all forget that that's what it's all about, racing and competition. Something notoriously it's people look at times quite often, but really the entertainment and the excitement is generated by the race, and we've seen plenty of that so far. And of course the real motivation of being Scottish champion. It's quite a prestigious thing for a lot of the swimmers out there, and so I'm absolutely delighted to see so many people getting up for it and racing, even though they perhaps have some other goals to achieve later in the season. It's still one of the main things that they want to achieve.
Yep, it's all about racing. What are the athletes and coaches saying about this new Tollcross pool?
Well, I think everybody's absolutely super excited about it, to be honest with you, because when they left it, it was obviously just starting to get a little bit tired, but the refurb on it with the extra seating and then the fantastic 6-lane long course pool next door it's going to make the venue absolutely tremendous for the Commonwealth Games. But I think in terms of legacy for the sport, I think it's magnificent.
Excellent stuff. If you want to ask any questions of Ali or tell us how you think things are going, then please do give us a tweet using the hashtag SGN13Live. That's SGN13Live. And we'll read out the best of your messages, particularly the cheeky ones. If you want to give us your opinions of Ali being back on the microphone, we'd love to hear that as well. And of course, there's the Instagram competition with hashtag SGN13Pics, SGN13PIX. So if you've got a photo that you think is really good, then let's post it. And the 10 best, as chosen by Scottish Swimming, will be posted on the Facebook page. And you will be able to vote for your favourite, and you may win some fantastic prizes. We're very grateful to our supporters who are helping us to bring you this event, Scottish Swimming and Scottish Gas, and all the commercial partners, and including Glasgow Life, and we're very grateful to all of them. We've had some interesting viewing figures coming through. Overall, something like 19,000 of you have pressed play, so we are delighted with those numbers. The numbers have been growing every day. We've had people viewing in from the USA, from Oman, from Spain. I'm wondering whether any of our swimmers out at Barcelona for the open water test event are joining us. If so, a warm welcome from a warm Tollcross, but I guess it's pretty warm in Spain as well. Warm welcome to you. And also, we're being followed in Bulgaria. I'm wondering whether that has anything to do with Katie Avramova, who of course is up here, the Bulgarian Olympian. If so, a warm welcome to our Bulgarian viewers. So we've got a pretty full day, and just coming up to the blocks is our first event, which is the multi-classification event for the men's 100 butterfly. So looking through the program, Ali, what takes your fancy?
Well, actually the 100 fly is looking pretty tasty. First up with Mark Shranick going in the later heats, but I think when it comes to finals later on tonight, I think that could be an interesting battle between him and Cameron Brodie. But also I think if people are watching the 1500 later in the finals, I think the women's 1500, I think that could be a particularly interesting race with Miley, Gilchrist and Thornton going in that one.
Okay, so we're ready to go with the first event. So the men's 100 butterfly multi-classification event is off and getting us started, and we've got 6 swimmers going in this one. Craig McLean of Highland goes in 2, Kieran Jardine of Dumfries in 3, James Clegg of East Lothian in 4, Stefan Hogan of Carnegie in 5, Fraser Kane of North Ayrshire in 6, and Oliver Carter of Fife Performance in 7. So I guess in this one, all eyes on Paralympian James Clegg.
Yep, and James, the bronze medalist from London, looking particularly strong at the moment, but part of his preparation going forward to the World Championships later in the season in Montreal, but he's stroking it pretty nicely there, looking quite relaxed and still maintaining his length as he comes down to the last 10 metres.
We're seeing a bit more strength and depth in men's disability swimming now, and one of the ones who's struck me this weekend is Kieran Jardine of Dumfries, and he looks to just have the edge in second place behind Clegg and ahead of Hogan. So the 1, 2, 3 then. James Clegg 102.58 takes it, because they'll be back in the water for this evening's final. Kieran Jardine taking second, 106.60, and Stefan Hogan 107.01 in third place. The final swimmer comes in, that's Oliver Carter. And the 1, 2, 3 up for you now. James Clegg 102.58 and Kieran Jardine second 106.60. Stefan Hogan of Carnegie third 107.01. So we move to the able-bodied heats now. We've got 5 of them. 5 swimmers scheduled to go and 5 swimmers standing at the blocks now in the first heat. Fastest of these on paper is Roy Cameron, Western Bartonshire, in the red cap lane 4, but only by a 10th, so should be fairly close this first heat. So getting underway then with the men's able-bodied 100 butterfly. Cameron Nelson of Carnegie in 2, Craig Barnes of Carnegie in 3, Roy Cameron, Western Bartonshire in 4, Alistair Kirkwood, City of Glasgow in 5, and Joseph Miley of Geary in 6.
And so it's the red cap of Roy Cameron, just sneaking out in front at the moment as he comes towards the end of the first 50, touching right at the end of a stroke, 28.58 for that 50. And a good 10 metres underwater, and that just pulls him right clear of the field at the moment, but coming on strong is Kirkwood from City of Glasgow.
Yep, and also Craig Barnes is fairly close with Kirkwood as well on the other side of Cameron, but it is still Roy Cameron in the red cap, has about a metre on the other two. It is a tight contest, talking about that racing that we had earlier on, and it's close here for second behind Cameron, who takes it 1:01.02, so he improves his time by 6/10 or so. And the results summarised there. Roy Cameron then 1:01.02. Craig Barnes did take second, 1:01.68. And Cameron Nelson coming in for third ahead of Kirkwood. A little bit of a surprise there at the finish. Heat 2, ready to go. So all 10 lanes in use on this one. Fraser Lowther of Dumfries in 0, Donny Price, South Mainland in 1, Alexander Schlar of Bristol in 2, Matthew Anderson of Warrender in 3, Ross Leslie, South Lanarkshire in 4, Bartek Karpish of Bristol in 5, Ian Porteous of City of Glasgow in 6, Ross MacDonald, Ren 96 in 7, Robert Price of Geary in 8, and Nathan Watt of St Thomas in 9.
And it'll be interesting to see how this one goes with the old versus the young here. Young Ross Leslie in lane 4, 15-year-old from South Lanarkshire, coached by Lindsay Young, and he was the age group champion. But at the moment, it's the swimmer from Bristol that's just coming through in lane 5.
Yep, Bartek Karpish, the 20-year-old from Bristol, has about a metre on City of Glasgow's Ian Porteous, so they're the 1-2. 58.5 and 58.7 respectively. It was much closer for third and a tie for fourth there, but there's the summary for you. Bartek Karpish taking it 58.53. Second place Ian Porteous 58.78. Third Robert Bryce 1:00.78 with that tie for fourth place in 1:00.13. So on to Heat 3, and we have Joe Yeoman, City of Aberdeen in 0, Callum, well in fact no swimmer I think in lane 1, lane 2 Ryan Brown of Best, 3 is Duncan Scott of First, 4 Eamon Rivers of Perth City, 5 Sean Campsey of Warrender, 6 Anthony Evitts of Bolton Metro, 7 is James Black of Warrender, 8 Edward Gray, City of Glasgow, and 9 Stephen Lamb of North Lanarkshire.
Well, it's Eamon Rivers that's taking it out pretty hard there, 25.93 in the first 50. And then he's been tracked by Sean Campsey, and it's the slightly smaller athlete from Warrender just starting to pick up his stroke rate up in this last 25, and it's going to be close at the finish.
Yeah, he's quite small for a sprint swimmer, but he's a bundle of energy, Sean Campsey, and he's really pushing there, Rivers, but Rivers just holding on. 56.65 against Campsey's 56.86. Duncan Scott touching third, and the results summarised for you. Eamon Rivers then 56.65 is the winner of Heat 3. Sean Campsey second, 56.86, and Duncan Scott third in 57.80. I think Rivers might be up there challenging tonight with Brodie and Sharanek.
I think it's going to be quite tight to get in the final, but I think that time will be good enough to get him in there.
So moving on to Heat 4, Ewan Govan, Mulguy and S10 in 0, James Flanagan of Bristol in 1, Greg Watson of Fife Performance in 2, Nicholas Quinn, Edinburgh University in 3, Cameron Brodie, University of Stirling in 4, Craig Bowman of Carnegie in 5, Felix Gifford of City of Aberdeen in 6, David Mulligan of Warrender in 7, Cameron Finlayson of Hearts in 8, and Jack Ness, City of Aberdeen in 9.
And it's Craig Bowman that takes the first 50 out there, closely followed by Cameron Brodie, but Brodie just starting to lengthen his stroke out there, keeping his tempo quite high, and it looks like the swimmer from the University of Stirling just coming through now.
Brodie, the 21-year-old against Bowman, the 17-year-old, and there's about a metre separating them as they come in, with Gifford putting in a good shift in third place. So Brodie then 57.04 for him, so a little slower than the previous heat. Eamon Rivers. Second was Craig Bowman, 57.65, and third Felix Gifford, 58.03. Improvement on his entry time for Felix there by a few hundredths, so should be pleased with that.
We should just put a quick shout out for Andy Mayer. Just not very well this morning. This is his event, 100 fly at Commonwealth Games, so all the best, Andy.
Yep, we're missing you here, Andy, but hopefully you're keeping yourselves well tonicked up and watching the swimming here on the live streaming as the final heat goes. So the field, Simran Wilkes of Warrender in 0, Ian Elric of First in 1, Callum North of Highland in 2, Ewan Dunbar of City of Aberdeen in 3, Mark Sharanek, Carnegie in 4, Daniel Scott, City of Glasgow in 5, Mike Thompson of East Lothian in 6, Alistair Miley of Geary in 7, Daniel Lim, Warrender in 8, and Callum McGregor, City of Glasgow in 9.
And probably as expected, Mark Shranek now just coming through at the back end. Nice long stroke. Just let's see if he can spot the finish. Yep, he does. Right at the end of his stroke, 56.08.
56.08 will put him into lane 4 in the final, assuming nothing astonishing happens this afternoon. And there's the results summarised for you. Mark Sharanek taking it, 56.08. Daniel Scott second, 57.05, and Ewan Dunbar in third place, 57.42. So 56.0 from Sharanek, 56.6 from Rivers, 57.0 from Brodie. So that's the 1, 2, 3 going into the final. Is that how you think it would pan out tonight?
I think it'll be anybody's race tonight, to be honest with you. I think we'll be looking for a close finish, but I think just on the heat swims there, I think Shranek probably looked the fresher of them all, but with a little bit of rest during the day, we'll see how things go tonight.
So moving on to the women's 100 freestyle multi-classification event here. 4 swimmers going. One of them, that's Hope Gordon, starting in the water. So in this women's 100 freestyle, we have Amy McFarlane of Motherwell in lane 3, Reagan Doig of Perth City in 4, Hope Gordon of Stirling in 5, and Beth Johnson of Best in lane 6. So we have Reagan and Amy are both S14s, and Hope an S9, and Beth an S10. Reagan Doig, probably our leading Scottish disability swimmer, a 15-year-old from Perth City, and 32.70 for her at the halfway stage. Entry time 1:05.67, so probably not quite going to be at that pace this morning, but they'll get to swim it again tonight, and Reagan will be pushing hard.
Yep, and Reagan's one of those types of swimmers that really likes to race against somebody else, and when the field's set up like the way it is just now, then it's always a bit tricky to get the best out of people.
And she comes in 1:08.40 then, so comfortable enough swim, and we'll see her again this evening. Coming in to second place, Amy McFarlane, 1:16.88, and Hope Gordon, 1:18.36. Beth Johnson, entry time 1:35, just about to complete the course. The youngster from the Borders. Well, time not appearing there on the heat, and unfortunately it looks as if there's a disqualification there for Beth in lane 6. So the summary: Reagan Doig 1:08.40, Amy McFarlane 1:16.88 in second, Hope Gordon 1:18.36. Because that, remind you, is the order that they touched. We then convert that into disability points, but the three who survived there will go through into this evening's final. So we move on now to the able-bodied women's 100 freestyle. We've got 6 swimmers going here. A fairly late change in the program in heat in lane 4. We have Sylvia Brunlena coming in, the City of Manchester. So we will see how she does. 58.77. So on paper she's faster than the other swimmers in this first heat. There are 5 swimmers waiting at the blocks, and they're just coming under starters orders now. 1 empty lane, lane 5. So the full field is Heather Lawson going in 2, Kimberly Mackay of Midlothian in 3, Sylvia Brunlena of City of Manchester in 4, Sarah Hamilton of South Aberdeenshire in 6, and Lauren Pirouet of 5 Performance in 7.
And lovely to see Sarah Hamilton back in the country after her first year away in the States training and at university. And indeed it's Sarah touching in second there in 28.09 with Brunlena in 27.94 for the lead.
Yep, so Brunlena looks to have the advantage here, but Sarah Hamilton not too far away from her, maybe at 2 meters or so. That's starting to stretch out now. It's getting very close for third, so talking about hard racing. Here's one going on now. Lawson, Mackay in lanes 2 and 3, and Pirouet in 7 as Brunlena comes in. So let's see who wins that little battle. It's Pirouet coming in third behind Brunlena and Hamilton, a young Fifer, taking third there. So the confirmed result, 58.84 for Sylvia Brunlena. Second is Sarah Hamilton, and third, Lauren Pirouet. So on to heat number 2. And the field here, we've got 9 swimmers. Paige Lang of Mogown Bearsden in 0, Jennifer King of North Ayrshire in 1, Anna Fleming, City of Glasgow in 2, Carl Simonal of West Lothian in 3, Lauren Jokes of City of Glasgow in 4, Danielle Joyce of North Ayrshire in 5, Jennifer Henderson of East Lothian in 6, Lauren Mackenzie of Elgin in 7, and Joanna Whitelaw of East Lothian in 8.
It looks like the swimmer from North Ayrshire, Daniel Joyce, taking an early lead on that first 50. A nice long ranging stroke there. It'll be interesting to see if that 6-beat leg kick can be maintained as we come down to the last 15 metres.
And a fairly close one here. Lane 5 is Danielle Joyce, the deaf swimmer from North Ayrshire. She's having a very good season. And is she going to hang on? She's coming under a bit of an attack now from Jennifer Henderson, and it was Jennifer Henderson just grabbing it at the death there by 300ths. So Henderson, 1:00.87 for her, 1:00.90 for Danielle Joyce, and it was Laura Mackenzie taking third in 1:01.27. So straight on to heat 3. And we've got 10 swimmers there. So introducing heat 3, Tane Bruce Carnegie goes in 0, Caitlin Tootle, City of Aberdeen in 1, Hayley Monteith of Edinburgh University in 2, Lauren Averill, Mulgai and Bearsden in 3, Lucy Hope of Best in 4, Sian Harkin, University of Stirling in 5, Laura Dawson of Newburn in 6, Amy Harper of Lerwick in 7, Katie Stark of Warrender in 8, and Sally Wood of Warrender in 9.
And probably as expected, Sian Harkin on the first 50, taking it out there, renowned a little bit more for the 50s rather than the 100s, so I'd expect the rest of the field to come back towards her. At that point, Lucy Hope having a tremendous meet here in advance of the European Juniors, and she's really starting to pick up the pace and the stroke rate increasing. It's going to be really tight at the finish.
Yep, not much now between the white cap of Harkin and the dark cap of Hope as they come to the wall. And it is Hope who just edges it there. 57.85 from Harkin second, 58.09, and Hayley Monteith third. Summarised for you there, 58.43. Just going back a heat, Danielle Joyce, who said a deaf swimmer, 1:00.90 her time. I'm told now that that is a new British record for S15 deaf category swimmers. So just shows the form that Danielle's in. We'll be very pleased with that.
Yeah, great result of that, and well done to her and her coach, Sharon Welsh.
Heat 4 on its way. And we have Rona Plowman, City of Aberdeen in 0, Gillian Clark of East Lothian in 1, Andrea Strachan, Edinburgh University in 2, Kirsty Simpson at Dundee City Aquatics in 3, Katie Avramova of Ealing in 4, Rachel O'Donnell, Carnegie in 5, Jessica Wilkie of Edinburgh University in 6, Rachel Sharples, East Lothian in 7, Megan Donnelly, Mulgai and Bearsden in 8, and Emma Bird of Edinburgh University in 9. 28.20 at the turn, leading the way Megan Donnelly. So from lane 8, can she hold it down the second half, Ali?
Well, she's a very tough swimmer, is Megan, so I think she'll be there or thereabouts. But look out in the middle there, Avramova coming through really strong. The Bulgarian international just starting to sneak ahead, but being challenged by Kirsty Simpson and Rachel O'Donnell as well.
Yep, it is Avramova now in the last 5 metres, just opens up enough to make sure of taking it. And she comes in 57.97. Rachel O'Donnell, 58.33, takes second place. And Kirsty Simpson, having challenged Avramova for a lot of that, ends up third, 58.40. So a big call out to our viewers from Bulgaria. So I hope you're able to join us this morning as Avramova wins her heat there.
You just see the control of the swim there, controlled that first 50, and that just allowed her to pick up the pace on the third 25 and then finish her off right at the end of the stroke on that last section.
So on to the final heat then. Nicola Lamb, 5 performance in 0. Samantha Caulfield of Carnegie in 1. Kirsten McKinley, City of Glasgow in 2. Eloise Barber, University of Stirling in 3. Hannah Miley of Geary in 4. Rachel Masson of South Aberdeenshire in 5. Sian Morgan, Edinburgh University in 6. Julie Hunter of First in 7. Alice Tennant, Swansea University in 8. And Rhiannon Jokes of City of Glasgow in 9.
And Hannah Miley making her first outing of the final heat session of the Scottish Nationals here, but it's looks like Rachel Masson at the moment really swam well on the opening leg of the 4x100 freestyle relay yesterday, 57 low, so if she can get close to that here in the heats, I think that will be a first class swim.
So fastest time so far, Lucy Hope's 57.85. Let's see how this compares. I think it might be faster. It is 57.28, so it will be Rachel Masson in lane 4 tonight. Maybe a little surprise that. Miley there second, 58.04. Sian Morgan taking third in 58.47. So the results summarised for you there. Masson, Miley and Morgan, the 3Ms.
And that really is good swimming there from Rachel Masson, training with South Aberdeenshire and Gary Patterson, the coach up there. Very experienced, and that's beginning to show now as she makes the move towards getting into the 56 points, which just takes you up a little bit on a step of class and moves you towards the British level of swimming.
So it's good to see the swimmers progressing in the Aberdeenshire area, both at South Aberdeenshire and City of Aberdeen, and of course Geary under Patrick Miley. So Patterson, Glasgow and Miley, the three main coaching influences in that neck of the woods. So we move on then to the men's 200 freestyle, starting with the multi-classification event. And we've got 5 swimmers going here. Lachlan Macbeth of Highland Swim Team in 2. Adam Melville of North Lanarkshire in 3. Craig Rodgie of Edinburgh University in 4. Scott Quinn of Warrender in 5. And Andrew Mullen of Ren 96 in 6. So we've got 4 S14s, Rodgie, Quinn, Melville and Macbeth. And Andrew Mullen, a much more significant disability, S5, going in lane 6.
And Craig Rodgie, who's been on fire this week and so far in the 100 metre and the 50 metre events, and it'll be interesting to see how he can translate that into the 200 metre event, whether the different pacing that he has to employ here allows him to carry that form through. And of course we've got Scott Quinn there as well, probably more renowned for his breaststroke swimming, going to the IPC World Championships to represent Britain there. And don't normally see him swim the 200 freestyle, but he's certainly a tremendous worker and has a great ethic in the training pool, so should be able to transfer some of that into this particular race. And let's not forget Andrew Mullen in 6. Absolutely fantastic swimmer there, as he's working pretty hard on this first 100, and it just shows you the range of different types of athletes in this multidisciplinary event.
So don't be fooled by the fact that there's nearly a length between Rodgie and Mullen. He convert into disability points and that will decide how it works out. So Rodgie then well clear in terms of the field as he heads down the final length, half a length to go, meets Mullen coming back. At first to the pool to the end clearly will be Rodgie from Quinn. Do you think Quinn will be treating this as a serious event, or is this really part of his training regime?
Well, I think it'll probably be part of his training regime, but I think if I remember rightly, it's one of the events in the Commonwealth Games, so I think this is really just an introduction for him. His 100 breaststroke is not there, so he's got to look at alternatives if he wants to go to the Commonwealth Games.
Okay, so that makes it a bit tough for him, doesn't it? 2:07 then for Rodgie, 2:07.49. Quinn 2:15.81. Still Melville coming in third, 2:22.16. And we've got not too much between Macbeth and Mullen, 2:57 and 2:55 entry times. But it's going to be Macbeth, I think, who's going to lead the two of them in. The 20-year-old from the Highlands against Ren 96 is Andrew Mullen. Of course, Andrew, the much more disabled swimmer, S5. So it is Macbeth coming in 3:01 rather, and Mullen 3:07, and we'll get that converted into points. That was, I think, a heat declared winner event, so we will be presenting the medals for that one this morning. So we'll just await the points calculations on that before we are able to give you the 1, 2, 3. So on to the men's 200 freestyle able-bodied events, and again we've got 5 heats here. Looks like a pretty full heat 1. Counting the heads, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, all there, all present and correct. So the disability swimmers just clearing the pool, and A couple of announcements and we'll be away here.
And a big shout out to Fiona Harding, who's tweeted in, wants all the parents out there who support their children in terms of their swimming, give them the support that they need. Wanting to say thanks very much. It's not possible to do the sport without them, and certainly concur with that. A massive part of the whole team ethic.
Indeed, so we're ready to go now with heat 1. And running through the field, Callum Laurie first goes in 0, Ross Gale, Ren 96 in 1, Cameron Park, South Lanarkshire in 2, Rory Kirkwood, City of Glasgow in 3, David McGregor of Dumfries in 4, Daniel McGregor of Warrender in 5, Angus Walker of City of Newcastle in 6, Callum Chappell of Winsford in 7, Scott MacArthur of Stirling in 8, and Will Swayam of East Lothian in 9.
And it looks like Rory Kirkwood from City of Glasgow taking the first 50, 27.82. He's having another really positive meet, and it'll be interesting to see if he can just keep that going. But it looks like the Newcastle swimmer in lane 6 coming through to take the lead now, Angus Waugh.
Yep, fairly close though. Lanes 1, 2, 4 and 6 all there or thereabouts, but I think it is going to be Waugh who takes them through the 100. 58.54 for him. Well, we've got 2 McGregors in the centre lanes, but it's David at the moment in 2nd place, and then Ross Gale in 3rd.
Yep, and looks like Ross Gale, who probably just controlled things a little on the first 50, he's just starting to press the pace now on the 3rd 50, and making a little bit of a break. Interesting, looks like a type of 2-beat kick that he's got in his stroke there, not the traditional 6, but 6-beat kick, but it's Ross Gale leading away at 1:30.02 at the 150 mark.
Yeah, so I was talking with Heather yesterday about the importance of that sort of 3rd quarter of the race, and where an awful lot seems to be decided in that phase of the race. So do they work on that?
Most definitely in training, it is about control over the first half and then being able to press on that 3rd quarter, and you can see here that's exactly what Ross Gale has done.
Yep, that's a good race from Ross Gale, and out of lane 1 he takes it 2:01.01 and does 2nd inside his entry time. 2nd place is David McGregor, 2:01.68, with the Newcastle swimmer Angus Walk taking 3rd. The results summarised for you there. Gale, McGregor and Walk, 1, 2, 3. 2:01.61 then is the time to beat as we move on to heat 2. No swimmer going in lane 9 in this one, so 9 will go here. And we have Joe Steele of South Aberdeenshire in 0, Graham Hunter of Perth City in 1, then 3 from the City of Glasgow, Ian Porteous in 2, Callum McGregor in 3, Johnson Shearer in 4, 5 Alistair Miley of Geary, 6 Ross McDonald, Ren 96, 7 Ross Hughes of North Ayrshire, and 8 Ross Woolley of Warrender. So 3 Rosses in lanes 6, 7 and 8. At the turn then, it is lane 0, Joe Steele off to a fast start, so another one on the South Aberdeenshire stable.
Well, he's certainly been very positive in that first 50. You take a risk when you do that, but it might mean that he's in great shape at the moment. He's had a couple of positive swims, just missed out in the finals of the 400 freestyle earlier in the meet. But he's certainly taken the race by the scruff of the neck here, just leading in that 100.
Yep, he has the touch, 58.39, just a tad faster than the first heat by a couple of tenths. Just behind him, Johnson Shearer and Callum McGregor, 2 of the 3 Glaswegians in the field. The third one is also not too far away, Ian Porteous. So they look to be posing the main threat, although in lane 7, Ross Hughes is also going nicely, the 15-year-old from North Ayrshire. Coming to the 150, it's fairly tight, but still it's Steele, 129.66, so maybe he can hold on and take this. This would be a good win out of lane 0 if he can. Is he going to come under pressure in this final length, though?
I think he possibly is, but I think the important thing is here, if you're going to commit yourself at the start of the race, you have to fully commit yourself and not just do it half-heartedly. Joe's certainly done that, but it's the swimmers in the middle of the lanes now just starting to come through and to challenge just overtake.
Yep, so it's just going to be too much for Steele to hang on, but a very creditable performance from the outside lane there. But it was Ian Porteous who took it. And the 1-2-3 summarised there. Ian Porteous 2:00.19 in first place. His Glasgow colleague Callum McGregor taking second just behind him, 2:00.33, and the long-time leader Joe Steele third in 2:00.52. So about 8/10 faster than the previous heat there, 2:00. So looking for the times to be sub 2 minutes in these next few heats. So we are moving on now to the next heat. We may just have a problem with the timing here as we seem to have got stuck on the scoreboard, but we're going into heat 3 and we've got Craig McLean of Carnegie in 0, Angus Barr of South Lanarkshire in 1, Jack Thorpe of Edinburgh University in 3, Joshua Walsh, University of Stirling in 4, Mark Sharanek, quick return to the pool for him, Carnegie in 5, Ross Glegg, Scarborough in 6, Stuart McComish, City of Aberdeen in 7, Jack McComish, South Lanarkshire in 8, and Callum Baxter of North Lanarkshire in 9.
And as we would expect, it's the 19-year-old from Edinburgh University, Jack Thorpe, taking it out at the front. Very positive first 50 and 25 point as he comes to the turn in 53.58. Well, he's either going to put in an absolutely tremendous 200 metre PB here, or he's going to find it particularly difficult coming down the last 50.
So do you think he might have been going for an intermediate time there? Because Walsh now going past him.
I don't think so. I think he's still working pretty hard, and but Josh Walsh obviously stayed off that pace on the first 50, and here we are again on the third 50, and he's the one coming through.
Yep, so it's Walsh of the University of Stirling up from the south. Been there for a while now, and Josh Walsh at Stirling.
Yep, he's been training there for about 4 years now with Rob Greenwood, and he's made some steady progress. He's 149 point already this year, just a couple of weeks ago back at the East District Grand Prix, so he's obviously in quite good form and will be looking to be challenging for a spot in the World Championship team.
And he's a comfortable winner in this heat. It's tight for second now, but it's Walsh who comes in, 1:53.25. Sharanek with his second swim of the morning takes second there, 1:55.62. And Thorpe, the early leader, finishing third, 1:56.23. So only 2 seconds away from his entry time, so should be reasonably happy with that, I would have thought. The 1, 2, 3 there summarised for you. Walsh 1:53.25, Sharanek 1:55.62, Thorpe 1:56.23.
And so Jack Thorpe there out in 53 point, back in 62. That's going to hurt.
Do some swimmers just like to swim it that way?
Well, I think there's something to be said to being positive, and getting out there and committing yourself. But on that occasion there, he just found it a little difficult on the last 50.
Yeah. Heat 4 then, 2 empty lanes in this one. So 8 swimmers going, and it's Stu Clark of Bishop Stortford in 0, Felix Gifford of City of Aberdeen in 1, 2 is Daniel Lim of Warrender, no swimmer in 3, Jack Scott going in 4 for University of Stirling, 5 is Matthew Parks, Edinburgh University, 6 Cameron Smith, Edinburgh University, empty lane in 7 with James Black of Warrender in 8 and Donny Price of South Mainland in 9.
And Jack Scott there out in 25.32, so a similar place to Jack Thorpe, but probably just looking a little bit more relaxed on it. But it will be interesting to see if the same thing happens to Jack Scott as happened to Jack Thorpe in that. But Thorpe, to be fair, more renowned for his 50 and 100 rather than the 200 metres.
So we've, in the last couple of Commonwealth Games, we've been really strong in the men's 4x200, and how do you think we'll be doing in that event next year?
Well, it's certainly one of the events that we like to target. We've got a couple of experienced athletes, and Robbie and Jack now as well, who's very experienced. And then we're looking at some of the younger ones now to come and fill some of the other sports, or some of the other athletes, senior athletes that have perhaps not had that chance before. So the most important thing is to see what that progress is towards the back end of this season and how they move forward for a very important season next year.
Yep, so Jack Scott was part of that Delhi team, and he is leading this one in. He's entered on 148, pretty much the same 150 split as Walsh, and looks to be taking it fairly easy here. Parks, part of that Edinburgh University relay team yesterday, and is just closing in, but Scott knows what he's doing and comes in about 1.5 meters to spare. Parks second, and his University of Edinburgh colleague Cameron Smith finishing third. I think probably that is the 1, 2, 3 you would have expected in that one. And summarising the result there, so Jack Scott 1:53.90, a little slower than Joshua Walsh's time. Matthew Parks second, 1:54.61, and Cameron Smith taking third, 1:55.06. Final heat coming, and we've got here no swimmer in lane 4. No swimmer also in lane 1, but the lane 4 absence, unfortunately, Robbie Rennick. So he's sitting this one out. Now Wellstead in 0 for Warrender. No swimmer in 1. 2 is Ewan Governor, Mulgai and Bearsden. 3, Solomon Butt of Aberdeen. 5 is Stephen Milne, Perth City. 6, Sean Campsey of Warrender. 7, Adam Hollows, Dermot Side. Ewan Murgatroyd of Dumfries in 8, and Chris Lowther also from Dumfries in 9.
And so Robbie Rennick looking as though he's opted out of this one, and I think he's had a pretty tough last couple of days, swimming yesterday in the Great North Swim in the morning, and then back up the road for the 4x100 freestyle relay for City of Glasgow in the evening. So pretty tough schedule for him as he goes towards the World Championship trials. But it's maybe the young protege Stephen Milne leading this one out. 55.90, looked extremely controlled and relaxed on that one, and he'll be looking to pick up the pace now. Suleiman Butt from Aberdeen, just out slightly off the pace there, and Suleiman of course looking for a spot in that European Youth Olympic team, which hopefully will get announced at some point soon.
So there'll also, I would imagine, be 2 of those young Turks looking for a place on that 4x200 team, and we expect them both to come through and progress hard in the next year. But at the moment it is Stephen Milne who's been fairly selective with his events this week, but he's been part of a very successful Perth relay team and will be looking to go strongly today in the 200. He's certainly going to take this heat with Rennick's absence. He's given him his opportunity to take this one. We're 153s in the previous 2 heats, so not quite at that pace. 1:54.53, so that's very solid. He'll have a good lane in the finals this evening with that time. So Stephen Milne then, 1:54.53 is the winner on that one. Adam Hollows taking second, 1:56.98. Just going past Solomon Butt at the end, 1:57.03. Would you like to have seen Butt holding him off there?
I think Suleiman would have liked to have held him off there, to be honest with you. None the lad that likes to compete. But I do know, having spoken to his coach Alison Lowe, that he's in pretty heavy training at the moment, so just about to go off on a training camp to Mallorca in the best centre. And sure that'll just be him just putting the finishing touches to his training as he moves towards the summer events.
And it looks like that time was good enough for Solomon to get into the final, so we should be seeing him in the A final tonight as we move to the women's 200 breaststroke. So again, we have 5 heats this morning. Reminder, of course, that we have more of these events being swum this afternoon, the slower heats, and we have seen every day one or two swimmers just popping through from the afternoon heats and getting into an evening swim, so none of these swimmers in the morning can take things for granted. 6 going in the first heat here. Lauren Mackenzie of Elgin in 2, Ella Shilliday of Stirling in 3, Anya Reid of First in 4, Jennifer King of North Ayrshire in 5, Paige Aitchison of Hearts in 6, and Meg Patterson of City of Aberdeen in 7. So at the turn, it's City of Aberdeen's Meg Patterson, the 14-year-old, who's in the green cap, and alongside her, Paige Aitchison. Fairly tight. Sorry, Dally.
No, it's okay. It's the Heart swimmer right next to the Coast swimmer, so a Phil Potter, Gordon Glasgow challenge in this meet, and so we'll see who comes out on top.
So 2 coaches who have been colleagues for a long time. Gordon previously based in the Edinburgh area before he went north. 1:25.14 then, and it's Paige just touching first there, but by a 100th of a second only. Now we've also got Lauren Mackenzie, the 15-year-old from Elgin, over on the other side of the pool, and maybe she could come up while these two are battling each other and go past both of them.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen now. Lauren Mackenzie's had a really great season, breaking through in a number of different events. Andy Summers up there in Elgin seems to have been developing a good group of swimmers, and Lauren is one of those. She's qualifying again for the National Age Group Championships down in Sheffield, so yep, she seems to have just overtaken Paige Aitchison there, so it's Lauren Mackenzie in second place, with Meg Patterson just holding on to the lead, 2:11.58 after 150 metres.
We haven't talked about Anya Reid of First, the 13-year-old in lane 4, and maybe she could feature in the last half length here, but this is a good competitive first heat here. Mackenzie is looking good in lane 2, the Elgin swimmer, and I think she now does have the advantage over Meg Patterson, and Anya Reid challenging for second now, but it is going to be Elgin swimmer Lauren Mackenzie who's going to lead them in with a strong second half. 2:56.20 for her, improves her entry time by nearly 3/10. Second place was Anya Reid. As we go to the summary, so Lauren Mackenzie 2:56.20, Anya Reid second 2:59.10, Meg Patterson third 2:59.22. So heat 2 next to come. Looks like all 10 lanes are occupied here. Of course, in day 4, swimmers do pick up maybe little injuries or tiredness and just decide to cut back sometimes, but not in this heat. So we have Katie Robertson of South Ayrshire going in lane 0, Chanel Snedden of First M1, Eve Thompson, Western Bartonshire in 2, Katie McIntyre of South Lanarkshire in 3, Elizabeth Lim of Warrender in 4, Lauren Doughty, Dundee City Aquatics in 5, Francesca Christopherson of South Aberdeenshire in 6, Louise Fair of Hearts in 7, Shannon Patterson of West Lothian in 8, and Megan Feld of South Aberdeenshire in 9. So coming to the first turn, and the touch goes to Christopherson, 38.21, about 7/10 up on Chanel Snedden, and around about a second faster than the first heat at the 50 mark. Tight one to call, I would think here. I think a number of these swimmers could feature here. In the moment, the centre lanes are just lagging behind a little bit, but maybe they'll be doing a better pacing job and will come through in the second half.
Yeah, and I think the key thing on breaststroke is that right at the front of a stroke that you're getting to that streamlined position, and then you can see that range of different techniques in breaststroke. Probably one of the beauties of the event. You can swim it in many different ways. It has to fit the individual, but at some point everybody needs to be in a streamlined position at the front of the stroke. If you're doing that, you're a little more efficient, allowing you to spread your energy uses much better across the race and hopefully make you nice and strong towards the end of the event.
And looking nice and strong at the moment is Chanel Snedden of first over in lane 1, and she is pushing it pretty hard down this third length. Now training in the first program with Stephen Tigg, having moved across from West Lothian a couple of months ago. And she comes to the 150 mark, 2:06.41, now quite a bit faster than Heat 1, about 5 seconds. And her advantage is nearly 2 seconds now on Francesca Christopherson, who has Lauren Doughty on her shoulder in the white cap of Dundee City Aquatics. Going nicely over on the far side, the youngster from South Ayrshire, 12-year-old Katie Robertson. So a couple of strong breaststrokers, the Robertson sisters in that program, looking good for the future. But it's Chanel Snedden here who has got the advantage, which will not be overcome, into the final 5 meters. Entry time 2:54.0, so a nice improvement on that, 2:50.26. Stephen Tigg should be happy with her on that one.
Yep, a nicely paced swim there from Chanel, and particularly impressive down that last 50. Still maintaining her technique and just managing to pick up our stroke rate a little bit. Still a young lady, so a lot of development to go there as well.
So 1, 2, 3 then up from the screens for you. Snedden first, 2:50.26. Doughty second, 2:53.12. And Katie Robertson coming through for third by a 10th, 2:54.70. So on to Heat 3. Just a little pause, but we're ready to go now. Again, it looks like we've got 10 swimmers up and ready for it. So introducing those swimmers for you: Olivia Jackson of South Lanarkshire in 0, Kimberly Mackay of Midlothian in 1, Shona Mackey of West Lothian in 2, Emma Chittleborough of Warrender in 3, Emily Jones of Aberdeen in 4, Alice Tennant of Swansea University in 5, Orla Adams of Geary in 6, Lauren Sutherland of Midlothian in 7, Caitlin Tootle, City of Aberdeen in 8, and Robin Dixon of City of Glasgow in 9. So strong start in lane 4, Emily Jones. Swimming with Aberdeen this season, 35.41 for her. So as we go into the 3 cycle seeded heats, can also expect a significant pickup in pace from the previous 2, and that's what we're seeing early on here. Emily Jones and Alice Tennant beside her, the white cap and the black cap.
And Emily, a 2:32 in the breaststroker, so will step up in class in this heat. And you can see there just the difference in strength of Emily Jones compared to the swimmers in the previous heat as well. And she's out on the first 100 in 1:15.30, followed by Alice Tennant, sorry. The hard-working swimmer from Swansea. Part of the Scottish swimming setup for a number of years now, actually, and it's always fantastic to see her come up and race. And she'll certainly be looking for a spot in the Commonwealth Games team next year.
And she does look to be racing here. She's holding position with Emily Jones, and then the blue cap of Orla Adams of Geary. So they're the 1, 2, 3 as they come to 150. Emily Jones 1:56.78, so pacing around 41 for that third 50. And maybe just opening up a bit of a gap on Alice Tennant now as they come down the final length. 4 meters clear. Never terribly sure what Emily's best event is, IM or breaststroke.
Big debate. I spoke to her at the start of the year and I think it was breaststroke, but as the years progressed it's maybe changed a little bit, but we'll see how things go on. It's an important year for her. She's just finishing off her exams, or just finished off her exams, and looking to go to university next year, so some big moves afoot for her.
Well, she comes in and takes it 2:38.88, so 11.5 seconds faster than previous heat. So that's setting the standard for the next two heats. Alice Tennant taking second, 2:42.17, and Orla Adams not too far behind her, 2:42.81, pretty close to Orla Adams' entry time there, so good solid swim from the Geary swimmer. The results summarised for you now. Emily Jones then first, Alice Tennant second, Orla Adams third, ahead of Emma Chittleborough, the Warrender swimmer, 15-year-old. So on to heat 4. We have a full house again. Entry times 2:29 up to 2:51, so again we should expect to see a fair spread by the end of this race. And the full field Victoria Reid of Mulgau and Bearsden in 0, Kirsty Armstrong of Best in 1, Abby Cunningham, City of Newcastle in 2, Shannon McClelland Dumfries in 3, Kerry Buchan, University of Stirling in 4, Rachel O'Donnell of Carnegie in 5, Lucy Howarth, City of Newcastle in 6, Kirsty Hunter of East Lothian in 7, Erin Robertson of South Ayrshire in 8, and Lucy Walkup of Carnegie in 9.
Well, Duncan, I think this will be one of the events that will be extremely exciting tonight in the finals. The speed of the 50-100 swimmers moving up to the 200, whereas Kerry Buchan in the 100 metres more of a 200 swimmer, so it'll be interesting to see how one actually competes against the other.
Kerry Buchan has looked in very good form this season so far, so was impressive in Edinburgh, was impressive in East Kilbride at the Celtic Tri-Nations, so she'll be looking to impress here as well. Looking to force her way to the top of the podium, had to play second fiddle to Catherine Johnson so far in the breaststroke, but Catherine not in the 200, so I think probably 200 is a step too far for Catherine at this level of competition. But it is Buchan and O'Donnell, first and second here.
And Kerry Buchan coached by Ian Wright. Ian just moving off to Hatfield recently. Morning, Ian, if you're listening down there in London. I'm sure you are. But at the moment, Kerry Buchan looking fairly relaxed, nice and long in the water. Some lovely technique there.
Yeah, but she's not got it all her own way by any means here, because Rachel O'Donnell is only 4/10 back on her, the Carnegie 17-year-old, and she is pushing on nicely here and be looking to book a good lane for the final as well. And the two of them coming down the pool just half a metre apart then, and O'Donnell looks up for a race here with Buchan, so Buchan will not want to ease off and let her pass her, I don't think. So this is quite interesting here that they're both pushing reasonably hard. Buchan looking more relaxed than O'Donnell, who is working her socks off as they come to the final length there. So Buchan just doing enough, and nice spotting the finish there, taking it by half a second in the end, 2:35.31. So that drove them to a time some 3.5 seconds faster than Jones in the previous heat. Nice grin from Kerry there as she got onto the lane rope alongside Rachel, who was just behind her. Third place, but quite a long way back, was the Newcastle swimmer Lucy Howarth, 2:45.76. Wanted to see whether that's good enough to get her into the A final. But the 1, 2, 3 is summarised for you there. Buchan then 2:35.31. Just behind her, Rachel O'Donnell 2:35.83, and Lucy Howarth third, 2:45.76. Impressed by Rachel O'Donnell there?
Yeah, it's great to see. I think, like Emily Jones to a certain extent, not quite sure exactly what her main event is. Can swim a range, but certainly was putting a shift in that heat.
So no lane 4 again, and that means that Hannah Miley will not be in this evening's final. So she's had a very heavy schedule. We already saw her in the 100 freestyle, but she's decided that she's not going to do this one. So the lineup then: Sophia Green of Elgin in 0, Joanna Whitelaw, East Lothian in 1, Samantha Caulfield, Carnegie in 2, Hayley Monteith, Edinburgh University in 3, Catherine Johnson, Edinburgh University in 5, Hannah Souter of Hearts in 6, Heather Lawson, Swim Trafford in 7, Robin Patrick, South Lanarkshire in 8, and Connie Mackay, Ren 96 in 9. So I think I did Catherine Johnson a disservice earlier on, saying she wasn't doing this one, but here she is and leading the way. So I'm going to have to eat my words there and apologise to her.
Well, I didn't really want to point it out to you actually, but she's 2:33 best this season on 200 breaststroke, and every time she gets in the water on the 200 seems to get faster. So having gone 68.5 and 100, she's certainly in pretty good form, and I'm sure she'll fancy her chances this evening of perhaps upsetting the apple cart.
Okay, I'll take my medicine, I'll go to the corner of the class, and then we'll try and do better next time. But Catherine Johnson then, 1:12.32 for her at the halfway mark. So that is a very fast first 100, faster than any of the other two heats, and pretty close for second place then. Hayley Monteith and Hannah Souter. Hannah Souter has come on to some pretty good swims this week. Another one from the Hearts table, taking on the might of Edinburgh University here. And Catherine Johnson, well, she is absolutely blitzing this. So, what do I know about breaststroke ladies swimming? Not a lot, it would seem, because Catherine Johnson there, 1:52.60. A 40-second split for that third 50, so she is pushing this very hard, looking to take centre stage, and impressive breaststroke performances from her here as she leads up to the World Trials in 2 weeks' time, which will be a very important time for her. Yes, looking to break through. There's a bit of a vacuum at the top of breaststroke swimming in the women at Britain. Could Catherine fill that slot?
Well, I certainly think on the shorter events that she's right up there and has every opportunity to get herself on that World Championship team, and she's in great form at the moment. Nice heats from there of 2:34.55 to take first. Hayley Monteith second in 2:40.88, and then Hannah Souter coming through in 2:42.16. So should shape up for a good final, good contest.
Yep, so we thought it might be Miley against Buchan, but now it's looking like it might be Johnson against Buchan, and of course you can't discount Emily Jones as well.
Yeah, I think I hadn't discounted Catherine Johnson at 200, just to correct there at that point in time. You know, it wasn't just a Miley Buchan straight off fight. There's 3 or 4 girls there with every opportunity, I think, to take the podium, top of the podium.
Okay then, so more medicine required for McKinnell, so apologies there, everybody.
Large spoon for Duncan, I feel.
Taxi for McKinnell as we move to the men's 50 backstroke. We'll just take a while to get ready for the 50 backstroke, as they can figure the pool for the 50s. Result there still summarised for you. Catherine Johnson there, 2:34.55. Hayley Monteith second, 2:40.88. Hannah Souter third, 2:42.16. So we have the sprints. They've been in that sort of middle section of each of these heat sessions, and seen some good sprinting over the different disciplines so far this week.
It's an interesting one, the form sprints, not an Olympic event, of course. The 50 back, breast and fly, the 50 freestyle is, but one of the events in the Commonwealth Games, which and the World Championships, of course. But these days, with funding all sitting on the Olympic Games, then it's quite one of those challenges to try and balance off the form of 50 events with the other Olympic events, and allowing you to make decisions as to what you've got to focus on, really. So whether it's the 100 or the 50, a lot of people would quite like to focus on the 50 and then move up to the 100 and have the 50 at the centre of their attention. But because it's not an Olympic event, then of course you have to make that call.
Yeah, that's quite a tough one. You've got the realities of life and having the funds to live on as you go through your training program, so you can't discount that. We have in this first heat of the men's 50 backstroke. A couple of the multi-classification swimmers return to the pool for both of them. Andrew Mullen will go in 1:39.30. He is the British record holder on that. That is his British record time. And on the other end of the pool in lane 7 will go Craig Rodgie. So we'll look out for him as well. So they're in the pool now and just about ready to go. And so then in this first heat we've got Mullen in 1, Sharp in 2, McCain in 3, Lambert in 4, Jessamine in 5, Watson in 6, Rodgie in 7 and Flanagan in 8. Flanagan going well in lane 8, 29.97 his entry time, and alongside him is Greg Watson, a mile guy in Bearsden, and it's Watson who is pushing through in the closing stages. In the end, a pretty comfortable win for him, 28.67. Let's watch out for the two disability swimmers. 31.76 for Rodgie, just 4/10 away from his entry time, and Mullen just coming in now, 39.30 entry time, so a little bit off that today. 42.0, but I'm sure he's under a very heavy training program at the moment as he prepares for the Disability World Championships along with Craig Rodgie. But the 1, 2, 3 there, briefly up there for you, led by Greg Watson, 28.67. So heat 2 then. And we have a full house here as the swimmers prepare to go. And they're away. Finley Deans in 0, McKinney in 1, Angus Walk in 2, Dean Strachan in 3, Cameron Arnott in 4, Andrew Sawkins in 5, Jamie Waller in 6, Scott McClay in 7, Johnson Shearer in 8 and Jack Elby in 9. Fairly tight here. Scott McClay continuing a very good run of swims. The Perth swimmer in lane 7, and he is the one who's going to take this. So 29.91, so I think probably that's his first time under 30 seconds.
And well done, Scott. It's always nice to break these little barriers that are out there, get over them and then reset them with new ones.
So Scott McClay taking it, 29.91 from Jamie Waller at second. On to heat 3. Just a wee pause as we've got a little announcement coming over the pool PA system. That's just slowing us down a little bit here as we move on to heat 3.
And this heat should be quite tasty, I think, with McNally and Lamont taking out lanes 4 and 5. Let's see who can start the best over the first 15.
So 26.10, 26.32, the two entry times for those two. The full field, Chris Watson in 0, Callum North in 1, Anthony Evitts in 2, Solomon Butt in 3, Craig McNally in 4, Rory Lamont in 5, Ross McCafferty in 6, Kieran Brand in 7, Mark Campbell in 8 and Ross Leslie in 9. And it looks like Rory Lamont of Western Bartonshire is the one who's going to take this one. He's about a metre up as he comes in, 26.28. So inside his entry time there by 400. So pushing it out pretty hard there. McNally taking second, 26.87. And Suleiman Butt third, 28.42. Just ahead of Ross McCafferty. 26.28 then the time to beat. Rory Lamont of Western Bartonshire.
And that 26.2 is just starting to creep a little closer to the Scottish record of McNally's at 25.9. So look out this evening. Maybe that'll come under threat.
So we're not seeing a senior record other than the relays so far in these championships. So it would be great to sign off with one tonight. Heat 4 coming up. And we're just about ready to go as the swimmers jump in, everyone with their own way of doing it, little routines that they like to go into. And off we go. Alexander Ray in 0, Luke Neverson in 1, Craig Bowman in 2, Callum Shaw in 3, Andrew McGovern in 4, Graham Lyons in 5, Tsubasa Nakagawa in 6, Fraser Spooner in 7, Alistair Miley in 8, and Graham Brown in 9. So it's
Andrew McGovern there right on the 15 coming up, and it's him that's just actually leading all the way to the finish.
Yep, that was a impressive swim. Not quite as fast as Lamont, 26.71, but he was a clear winner there by over a second. Graham Lyons taking second, 27.82 ahead of Edinburgh University's Callum Shaw, 27.95 for him. The summary there for you briefly as we move rapidly on to the final heat. So we're looking for McGuckin Thompson there. So the swimmers easing their way out, having something to talk about as they go. It will all get sorted out if there is any issues. Don't think there are. Maybe just having some comments about their performances. So we're ready to go now. Looks like we have an empty lane in 2. So final heat away. Stephen Gibb in 0, Craig McLean in 1, Jack Ness in 3, Kieran McGuckin in 4, James Thompson in 5, Mike Thompson in 6, Danny Kirkham in 7, Alistair Kirkwood in 8, Callum Wellstead in 9. So time to beat, 26.28. McGuckin leading the way here in lane 4 from Jack Ness of City of Aberdeen. That's going to be the 1-2. Pretty close for third as we conclude the race, 26.78. So a couple of 26.7s we saw from McGovern and now McGuckin. And then Ness second there, 27.36. And it was James Thompson third, 28.02 ahead of Carnegie's Craig McLean. So the 1, 2, 3, McGuckin, Ness and Thompson. So Rory Lamont, 26.28, the fastest qualifier for that one. Was that what you expected?
I think it probably was actually, Duncan. Going back to the conversation that we had earlier on, I had a little sneaky feeling that Rory would be pretty quick this morning.
And do you think he can hold that through into tonight's final?
I think it brings a different set of pressures, to be honest with you. There'll be pressure of the race tonight, and obviously wanting to win and become Scottish national champion, so that gets added into the mix. But he's certainly in good enough form to challenge that record tonight.
So we're moving on to a multi-classification medal presentation now, and this is the men's 200 freestyle. And it's Helen Murray, a former Scottish swimming president, now very prominent in the East affairs, as she always has been, and she awards the bronze medal to Adam Melville of North Lanarkshire, the S14 swimmer, 596 points. Silver medalist goes to Warrender Scott Quinn, 683 points for his 2:15.81, also S14. And completing an S14 hat-trick, the gold medalist, and there's quite a collection he's getting here. Craig Rodgie of Edinburgh University, time at 2:07.49, 826 disability points. So they are the successful trio. All look fairly chirpy, having a wee chat with Helen as they come off the podium. Scott with a big grin on his face. So happy maybe with his 200 free performance for the breaststroker. So back to the sprints, and the women's 50 butterfly is up next. And we've got Well, have we got all the swimmers? Maybe missing. Well, I'm not sure whether we've got them all, to be honest. We'll see when they get on the podium. There's meant to be 7 in this first heat. Entry time's 31 to 32. Looks like they're all there. So we should be underway with that very soon. So just some pause in the proceedings here, but we will be away, I would think, fairly imminently. A fairly open event, this women's 50 fly.
I think it's going to be a pretty tight event, but there's a couple of the young ones there. Shan Harkin's probably the one to look at, I think, and if you look at Lauren Averell there as well.
Raquel Matos was up there in the 100 fly and then
sure.
just faded a little bit in the last few meters, didn't she?
Yeah, I think Raquel will be right up there too, to be honest with you, yeah.
So if we go with heat 1, we've got Caitlin Hamilton in 1, Ailsa Beck in 2, Alice Smith in 3, Jennifer King in 4, Kiana McInnes in 5, Katie Smith in 6, Mari Swanson in 7. Pretty young field, this one. Kiana McInnes, the 12-year-old from Hearts, is going well. She's a very bright prospect in the bottom end of the age spectrum. And I think maybe she's just going to edge it. It's pretty tight on the touch. Yes, she did. Nearly lost it from Jennifer King, but 31.36. So a nice half-second improvement in her time there. So good progress from Kiana. Jennifer King taking second there. And it was Alice Smith touching third.
And Kiana McInnes there, the young 12-year-old, just shows you as the youngsters you can get right up there. Some pretty quick, but obviously as you get older and your body changes and your limbs get longer, it's a different ball game as you go through your teenage years. And you can see there on that 50, high turnover of stroke versus when we see some of the senior swimmers, the turnover won't be quite as quick at that time. More strength and power through the stroke.
So as Kiana develops physically, she's going to have to learn how to make that adjustment.
Absolutely, and it will become more a balance between the stroke rate and the stroke length of stroke. Won't be as easy as she gets older to rate at that level. She's quite quick turning over that stroke. Either that or she's going to be super strong at that point.
Okay, so we move on to heat 2. All swimmers go. Alice Bumstead in 0, Katie Phillips in 1, Chanel Snedden in 2, Connie Mackay in 3, Eve White in 4, Georgia Callender in 5, Karen Kelly in 6, Megan Petersdaughter in 7, Jenny Jubb in 8, and Emma Mason in 9. Entry times here all in the 31s. Good start from Katie Phillips in lane 1, St Thomas swimmer, and I think she's maybe going to take this one. About a metre up on the field, 29.93, so another one who breaks through 30 seconds, this time in the butterfly, and that's a big improvement on a 31.5 entry time. Yeah, I'd be delighted with that.
That was a lovely swim there by Katie Phillips. Lovely long stroke, quite the opposite to the previous heat there. A little bit taller, a little bit longer, much more control in the stroke, and she'll be delighted with that swim. Scott Haxton, her coach up there in Arbroath.
So Eve White second in that one as we move on to heat 3. Whistle goes. And they're called onto the blocks. Looks like we've got an empty lane in lane 6 in this one. Again, that's Hannah Miley taking this one off. Not one of her premier events, it has to be said. Karen Reid then in 0, Tiffany Bachelet in 1, Megan Donnelly in 2, Lucy Hope in 3, Raquel Mattels in 4, Emily Jones in 5, Caitlin Burns in 7, Laura Dawson in 8, Ashley McAdam in 9.
Raquel Matos there, just taking one breath, 2 breaths now in the 50. She's going to spot the, spots it right at the end, 27.75.
So inside her entry time there, so that's a strong heat swim from Matos. And going into the summary, So Matos taking it. Lucy Hope taking second, 28.43. Good swim from her, half a second improvement. And Emily Jones third. So Lucy Hope coming through. Some good freestyle and backstroke swims from her. Now the butterfly.
And an event that she will actually be swimming at the European Junior Championships as well.
So we'll watch out for that. As we move on to Heat 4. Watch out for Sian Harkin here in lane 4. Julie Hunter beside her. Full field, Cheryl Wilson in 0, Anna Fleming in 1, Rona Plowman in 2, Jessica Christie in 3, Sian Harkin in 4, Julie Hunter in 5, Kirsty Simpson in 6, Elizabeth Lim in 7, and Fiona Ingalls in 8.
And of course, the Scottish record for this held by Alison Shepherd, I think 27.05, something like that, since 2001. So I wonder if any of these ladies will start to get close to that. 27.6 there from Sian Harkin.
So slightly faster than Matos's time, about 1500, so tight between those two. But the summary for you there, Sian Harkin 27.60 takes it. Julie Hunter second, 28.92, and just 300s behind her was Jess Christie, 28.95. One more heat in this one, and then we'll be on to the 400 IM. So quite a contrast in events for you this morning. So final heat of the women's 50 butterfly, heat 5. And we're away. Katie Stark of Warrender in 0, Julie Williams in 1, Kate Laverick in 2, Leanna Marshall in 3, Alexandra Price in 4, Lauren Averill in 5, Rachel Sharples in 6, Kirsty Armstrong in 7, Paige Lang in 8, and Kirsty Niblock in 9. Well, this is a close one. Averill and Sharples, and then over in lane 2 is Laverick. Laverick's made a lot of progress in this meet, but it's Sharples who takes it. 28.56 for her. Again, a half-second improvement on her entry time. Not as fast as the previous two heats. About a second away from that, but a good, solid swim from Rachel Sharples. Averill second, 28.73, and Laverick third, 28.87. A nice improvement for Kate Laverick as well.
Yep, a lovely swim there from Rachel Sharples. Seems to be in pretty good form at the moment. Matt Trodden, her coach at East Lothian, a big believer in making sure that all these athletes are in shape and are quite athletic as well in what they're doing, and has a really impressive land regime that goes around his pool training.
Yeah, we often see pictures posted on Facebook and other places of them running their way around Arthur's Seat and up and down the hills and onto the hill climbing. So we're fairly warm surroundings here as the spectators just taking whatever air they can find, fanning themselves and taking a little bit of air. Just a little pause then as we check out the starting system back at the scoreboard end of the pool as we move towards the men's 400 individual medley. So we should see Lewis Smith, Ross Muir among the favourites in this event. They'll be in the later heats with 5 up ready to go. Heat 1 then, and we've got these 5 swimmers, and they are Andrew Hepburn of Warrender in 2, Cameron Muir of South Ayrshire in 3, Scott Griffin of South Aberdeenshire in 4, Fraser Meadows of Warrender in 5, and Greg Turner of Fife Performance in 6. No swimmer in 7.
And the 400 IM, one of the toughest events I think on the swimming calendar, if you like, of I think being able to swim all 4 strokes skillfully and then have the background to actually deliver those strokes within the race is an extremely tough thing to do.
So I was talking with Heather yesterday about the 200 IM, and she described it as 450 sprints put back to back. So how would you describe the 400 then? Because can you treat it as 400s that you just have to push on?
Well, I think obviously in the 200 IM you still got to maximise your strengths of your strokes, and whilst it may well be 450 sprints, you still have to take into account how you're going to swim those particular 50s. I think as you move towards the top end of the sport, you'll find that the top end swimmers have got 4 real high quality strokes anyway, and therefore it does become that way. But in the 400 IM you've got a fair amount of time on each of those strokes, and therefore you have to maximise it. But clearly there's an energy deficit as you go through the event, so if you push too hard on the fly, then is that going to take you out for the rest of the event? On the other hand, if you don't go hard out hard enough out on the fly, you're going to be too far behind. Are you going to be able to come through on the other strokes that you've got later on? So it's one of the fascinating things about this particular event. You can see somebody who's up in front, and then the lead changing depending on where people's strengths and weaknesses are. But one thing's for sure, you do need to have a strong conditioning behind. If you're going to be at the top end, you really got to have a strong conditioning there to allow you to do those. It's a very tough event. Different strokes, different parts of the body being utilised at different times, and so you've got to have the whole all-round conditioning that goes with that.
Yes, when we were doing the test live streaming at the Royal Commonwealth Ball in the age groups, I was commentating in the finals with Kerry-Anne Payne, who of course is a very fine 400 IMer, and I was proposing the theory that the best breaststrokers are given some sort of advantage, and she slapped me down pretty hard on that one, that saying not at all. And I guess we saw that certainly with Kerry-Anne herself, and also in the Olympic final, just that people with strengths in other strokes can dominate in the 400 IM as well.
You can. I think the thing about the breaststroke, especially when they're a little bit younger, which is maybe why you see it that way, is you spend more time on the breaststroke than you would do on the other strokes. And so therefore, if you have got a good breaststroke and you spend less time on that particular stroke within the context of the 400 IM, then it looks as though you come through a lot stronger through the race, whereas at the top end, generally quite efficient on each one, even though the margins of strength and weakness are a little bit slower. So in that Olympic final, you saw the Chinese swimmer swim a fairly good 100 breaststroke, but extremely strong 100 freestyle at the end, coming through in 58 point to win it.
Yeah, and it's Cameron Muir then, who has had a good breaststroke, and he has the advantage going into the final 100, 3:53.37, some 6 seconds ahead of Fife's Greg Turner. So Cameron Muir has had a very good weekend so far, the 14-year-old from South Ayrshire, and he's one to watch for the future.
He is, and it looks as though there's plenty of room for development there as well in terms of his physical development. Sharon, I know, will be continuing to work his technical skills and make sure that he's in good shape in that respect, so as he grows and develops, that he's able to apply his natural strength into that technique, hopefully allowing him to go faster and faster as the years go on.
So we were talking about the girls' physical development earlier in the 50 fly. How does it work for the boys? Is it different, or is it similar in terms of change in body shape?
Well, obviously there's the body shape thing it differs between males and females.
Watch
clearly.
where I'm going here, I think.
Exactly. But generally for the males it just takes a little bit longer for that development to take place than it does for the females. So there's probably a different rate of development.
So very nice swim there from Cameron Muir, improving on his entry time by 3 seconds, and he takes that heat. Summarise for you now: 5:03.41 for Muir, Greg Turner 5:09.12, and in third place Andrew Hepburn 5:14.16. So on to heat 2. No swimmers in lane 3 or lane 7 in this one. So into this heat 2 then. Alex Forsyth goes in lane 0, representing West Lothian. Andrew McFadden, South Lanarkshire in 1. Finlay Dean, City of Aberdeen in 2. Sam Andrews of West Lothian in 4. Taylor Young of St Thomas in 5. Aaron Todd, Perth City in 6. Blair Doughty, Dundee City Aquatics in 8. And Ewan Dalgleish of West Lothian in 9.
And we were talking a little bit earlier in terms of the development of the athletes, I think, in terms of males and females, but I think whilst there are differences in terms of the physical and emotional development of the yourself, I think the important thing is that they are approaching it as an athlete, and that is the same regardless of whether you're male or female. You can have the same approach.
Yeah, great start from Aaron Todd, 1:04.34, so 4 seconds faster than the first heat after the butterfly. And taking that healthy advantage now into the backstroke with Blair Doughty in second place, and then the 2 swimmers in the centre lanes, Sam Andrews in the white cap and Taylor Young in the green cap. But yet another good swim looks to be coming out of the Perth City programme. Aaron Todd.
And absolutely, Anne Dixon working real hard with her swimmers, but it's always interesting to see the similarities in technique in the different swimmers coming from the same programme. So that to me shows that there is some sort of system or method to what's actually going on. And within the Perth programme, it's quite apparent, I think, sometimes in terms of the way that they actually swim backstroke or freestyle, and then certainly in some of the skills coming off the walls. You can see that there's a consistency across all of the different swimmers, but in terms of how they actually do it. So let's just watch Aaron here coming off the wall in the breaststroke. Yeah, pretty streamlined and coming off there. Maybe just up a little bit too quick, but looking not too bad shape now, moving on to the breaststroke.
It's much tighter for second place, but there's been a bit of a change there as they came out of the backstroke and into the breaststroke, and it's lane 2 now. Finlay Deans in second place, ahead of lane 4 Sam Andrews, and lane 1 Andrew McFadden. Blair Doughty has just faded away a bit in lane 8. No sign of Aaron Todd doing that. He is building on his lead very nicely through each of the 3 strokes we've seen so far, and coming halfway through breaststroke, 3:03.68. Let's just see how big his lead is now. It's pretty substantial, 6 seconds. Very tight now for second over there in lanes 1 and 2. McFadden, who was junior champion yesterday in the breaststroke, the 100, and alongside him Finlay Deans, 14-year-old from City of Aberdeen. So we have Aaron Todd, the 16-year-old, Finlay Deans, the 14-year-old, Andrew McFadden, the 16-year-old, leading the way here. And certainly Todd's lead has shrunk somewhat now. McFadden pushing on as they go into freestyle, 3:48.51. So it was 6 seconds, it's now 3 seconds. The advantage, so McFadden may want to try and continue to drive this.
Yep, McFadden obviously breaststroke, his strength, he's maximised it, but now just struggling a little bit in that first 50 of the freestyle, not able to get right into the rhythm of the stroke, and that's one of the challenges of the 400 IM, the change in rhythm between the strokes. How quickly can you get into that stroke? It takes a little bit of effort to try and do that, because the longer you take, the less time you have to actually maximise that particular part of the race.
So that battle continuing for second place. Finlay Deans just edged now past Andrew McFadden, and they're still 3-4 meters back on Aaron Todd, so I don't think they're going to catch him, although they are continuing to close the gap, particularly Finley Deans in the green cap. So he's looking good for second now, as Todd has maximised the first half and then brought it home successfully in the second half to come in 4:57.66. So another one has gone through one of these milestones, going under the 5 minutes, probably for the first time, entered 5:00.60. Second was Finley Deans, 5:00.71 for him. So also inside his entry time by about a second, and Andrew McFadden just behind him, 5:01.68. So the final swimmer just coming in now. That's Ewan Dalgleish, and we'll then be summarising the result for you. Just a little bit of thinking going on from the referees as they just decide whether they're happy with that one, and maybe there's just something they're querying. So we're just having a wee pause here as they take their time to get it right, but we move to the summary now, so it looks like they are happy with it, and it is Aaron Todd first, 4:57.56, Finley Dean second, 5:00.71, and it was Andrew McFadden taking third. On to heat 3. We have Finley Williamson of East Lothian off in lane 0, Ian Rose of Warrender in 1, Mark Dean, City of Glasgow in 2, Felix Gifford of City of Aberdeen in 3, Fabian Whitbread of Warrender in 4, Alistair Miley of Geary in 5, Chris McComb of East Lothian in 6, Donny Price of South Mainland in 7, Johnson Shearer of City of Glasgow in 8, and Scott Deans of City of Glasgow in 9.
And so Fabian Whitbread, he had an excellent swim yesterday in the 200 medley. A quite close contest with Mark Schranek in that particular event, and so I would expect him to be able to recover from last night's exertions and put himself in a good position for tonight's finals. I think interesting there, Alistair Miley just sitting off the fly pace there, probably trying to use his energy across the race, save a little bit from the fly so he can apply it elsewhere there. A tactic that his sister uses quite successfully, not applying herself too much in the first 100 and able to spread that across there, and the other strokes probably more to her advantage.
Alistair Miley we saw on the podium on the 200 backstroke, so you think maybe this is the time when he would want to push it on and put in some sort of challenge on Whitbread, and he is in second behind Whitbread as they go through the 150, 138 against 140, and then Gifford in third and McComb in fourth. Whitbread though looking very comfortable here, he's holding a nice lead, about 4 metres, 4:27 he was entered on. So we'll see whether he swims close to that. I think he might be looking fairly steady and even here, just wanting to book his slot in a decent lane. 2:12.31. Hearing news that after this 400 individual medley we're going to get an extra swim, a 200 breast swim off. So more about that in a little while, but I think we'll have a head-to-head swim off. I think it'll be for the first reserve slot. So 2:53.12s, Kimberly Mackay and Lauren Doughty, Midlothian and Dundee City Aquatics will be going head-to-head for your delight in a little while.
And there we see Alistair Miley really working hard on the breaststroke leg, and you'll have seen him on the backstroke being still fairly relaxed. So I think what he's done there is breaststroke's probably his weaker event. He's trying to use his effort in that breaststroke to minimise any loss or to get some gain on the breaststroke.
So
and
interesting tactic there, so you capitalise on your strengths or minimise your weaknesses.
Correct, that's it.
Whitbread. Advantage now about 8 meters. Miley is holding second fairly comfortably, with Felix Gifford comfortable in third as well, as Whitbread turns at the 300, 328.42. So did a 116 for his breaststroke. Miley second, Gifford third. Be surprised if anybody challenges here, although working hard in lane 2 is Mark Deans. Maybe he just fancies having a go at Felix Gifford here.
I think he'll fancy his chances, but I think Felix will have enough there to hold him off, especially if he sees him on the turn.
No such problems for Fabian Whitbread. He is over 10 meters up now. Gifford himself is closing a little bit on Miley as well, so just closing up second, third and fourth a bit, but I don't think it's going to change that much, as the winner comes in 4:32.41 for Whitbread, so about 4.5 seconds away from his entry time, so that's a pretty tidy heat swim. Second was Miley, 4:39.53, ahead of Gifford, who ended up a second clear of Mark Deans, so never really seriously threatened. Good racing on the lanes 8 and 9 there in the closing stages. The two Glaswegians, Shearer and Deans. Shearer just getting the edge there, back in 6th and 7th. But it's all about racing wherever you are in the pool. We talked about that at the top of the programme. So Whitbread then, 4:32.41. Miley second, 4:39.50. And Gifford in third. So on to heat 4. Looks like we've got 9 swimmers going here, no lane 0. So in lane 1, Callum Deans of Elgin. 2 is Joe Yeoman of City of Aberdeen. 3, Ryan Brown of Best. 4, Ross Muir of University of Stirling. 5, Ross Woolley of Warrender. 6, Matthew Anderson of Warrender. 7, Cameron Finlayson of Hearts. 8, Craig Barnes of Carnegie. And 9, Alistair Robertson of Aberdeen. So Ross Muir will be the one you'd fancy in this one.
I think so. It's been a pretty tough season for Ross so far. Hasn't really set the heather alight on his favourite event. Last year had a fantastic end to the season, picking up medals at the ASA Youth Youth and Senior Championships. So it was in great form. 4:18 finishing off the season there, but 4:25 his best so far. But on the Tour de Fly earlier on the week, one of his chosen events there, he was pretty much on his personal best, and he's now just gradually showing a return to form. So hopefully coming back to form right at the pointy end of the season.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, one of the objectives is to peak at the right time. No point in peaking in the middle of the season and then not being able to follow it through when it matters. Certainly he's set the pace in this heat so far. He's opened up a very big lead after the butterfly and continuing that in the backstroke. 1:34.97 halfway through the backstroke. Let's see how big his lead is. It's pretty substantial, about 5.5 seconds. Woolley second and Brown third, just 0.04 apart. So looking at that race for seconds, the youngster Ryan Brown taking on the more experienced Ross Woolley. How would you see that race developing?
Yep, Ryan, a tenacious young teenager from the borders, super hard worker, and he's made some good moves in the 400 IM in the last 12 months.
So those two still absolutely together as they turn to the breaststroke, just 1/10 apart, but a good way behind the 2:09 posted by Ross Muir, so about 8 seconds up now. Number of swimmers just behind Woolley and Brown. In lane 2 it's Joe Yeoman, and the Hart swimmer Cameron Finlayson in 7, and just behind him Warrender's Matthew Anderson, but they're battling for the minor places 4th, 5th and 6th really, so as the leader well clear and the battle's still on, although Woolley just getting a bit of an edge now on Brown, about 8/10 halfway through the breaststroke. So when you are this far ahead as Ross Muir is, are you conscious of racing? Are you just doing your own thing?
I think in this particular situation, Ross will have some clear expectation in mind of what he needs to achieve to get to the final. But knowing his mindset is that he'll have specific technical things within the race that he'll be looking to improve upon, whether it's about a technique or a pacing element, or making sure that his turns are absolutely bang on. But he's got himself into a considerable lead, knows that he's going to make the final, and looks as though he's just stroking out that freestyle now, and he'll be looking to, I guess, get everything right tonight so that the outcome of that swim tonight is exactly what he wants, probably the victory, and also a nice time to go with it.
Up, so he heads for home, meets the swimmers coming towards the final turn. Woolley ahead of Brown still in that contest for 2nd and 3rd, and let's just check the gap there. It's about 9/10. That's closed a little bit in the first half of the freestyle, but Brown, I think, will have to go very hard down this last length of years to catch Ross Woolley. As you said, Ross Muir looking very easy now in the closing stages here, and he coasts his way really into that final touch for 34.26. Now Woolley will take 2nd, about a metre up on Ryan Brown, and he comes in for 46.66, and Brown just behind him for 47.41. Ryan Brown want to have gone a bit faster there for 37 entry time, so that's a bit off, isn't it?
It is, but I know that he's had a range of events this week, so he's maybe just feeling the effects of that one. It certainly wasn't through the lack of effort, but his coach Alex Jordan will be, I'm sure, wanting to pick up on some of the technical aspects of the race there that perhaps weren't as executed as well as they should have been.
So targets for these 15-year-old swimmers would be ASAs in a month and a bit's time?
Yeah, that's right. So for Ryan, it'll be the ASA age groups, ASA Youth Championships. I think it'll be for him now, he's 15. And certainly on some of his events he'll be very competitive, I would think.
So we wish all the swimmers well in that when time comes, as the final heat goes. So again, we've got a full house here with Ross Gale of Ren 96 going in 0, Joseph Miley of Geary in 1, Callum Laurie of First in 2, Stuart McIntosh, City of Aberdeen in 3, Lewis Smith of University of Stirling in 4, Duncan Scott of First in 5, Craig Knight of First in 6, Jack McComish, South Lanarkshire in 7, Cameron Nelson of Carnegie in 8, Daniel McGregor of Warrender in 9. So Lewis Smith, very experienced 400 IM swimmer. What will he be looking for after this race?
Well, I think like Ross, he'll be wanting to just make sure he gets into the final, but he'll have some specifics within the race that he'd be looking to achieve. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see him, for instance, working the backstroke, but maybe just laying out a little bit on the breaststroke and then picking up the freestyle towards the back end. But who knows at that stage? But I'm sure that he'll have that those specific thoughts in the process and what he's doing right at the back of his mind.
So I see he's wearing a Scotland cap, so maybe making a little bit of a statement on that. There's a fair amount of hair around him.
Well, yeah.
So he's certainly not shaved down for this one.
No, it's all part of the preparation. He won't shave down until the last minute for the British Championships, and he certainly looks as though he's carrying a pound or two of hair on him. There's at least 5 seconds worth on him. I think that when that comes off, and it's one of those things, I think, when you shave down, as swimmers do, all over the body, that it then grows back thicker the next time round. pretty much like your beard, actually.
Yeah, right. So it is Lewis Smith then, but he's not away in the way that Ross Muir was at this stage. So he's got company with Duncan Scott and Stuart McIntosh, both within touch of him. Duncan Scott in particular, the first swimmer, 16-year-old, is within a metre or so of Lewis Smith here as they come to halfway, 2:12.64, just 3.5 seconds back on Ross Muir's time, fairly similar to Fabian Whitbread's time in the Heat 3. So Duncan Scott then, let's talk a bit about him. So he was pretty successful down in Leeds in March in the youth events in the British International.
Yep, indeed, the young man from the first programme, but also in Strathallan School. Coached by Elaine Johnston there and Stephen Tigg within the first programme, but he had a great meet down in Leeds, although he had been suffering a little bit from illness actually, so he pulled it out the bag, I think, in that particular meet, and then went on at the Scottish age groups, and I think he was in pretty good form there.
Yep.
Lewis as well, I know that earlier in the week he's suffered a little bit of illness there, but just seems to be working okay at the moment. And Duncan hopefully will be confirmed on selection for the European Youth Olympics as well. But he swims a range of events, doesn't he? He's very good on the fly, the freestyle, the breaststroke and the medley, and he's not too shabby at backstroke, so there's potentially a good future in front of him.
So for a 16-year-old, are you quite happy that swimmers are not specialising at that age and they keep their options open?
Well, I'd certainly be an advocate of that, and I think as you develop, it's very important to have those range of events and range of skills and strokes, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know how you're going to develop, what size you're going to be, and also as things go on, sometimes some of your events work for you and some of the events don't, and it's important to have that range so that if something's not working for you, you can get the progression and the improvement in one of your other events. Then when you start to mature, then you can decide exactly which direction you want to become and be more specific around your training around that.
Or be a brilliant all-rounder like Hannah Miley.
Well, that is correct. If you've got that kind of level of performance, then that's certainly something you can do. I would love that too.
Lewis Smith then is comfortable at the end of this, and he's going to book his slot in tonight's final with a time of 4:34.30. So in the end there's 4:32 from Whitbread, a 4:34 from Muir, and another 4:34 from Smith. So all set up nicely for this evening. 4:38 from Scott, so I'm sure we'll see him again as well in the A final this evening. And then third place, 4:45 dead for Stuart McIntosh. So the top three there will be summarised for you any moment. Here it comes. Lewis Smith then, 4:34.30. Duncan Scott, 4:38. And Stuart McIntosh, 4:45. So that swim off I was talking about earlier, we have that up next. It's 200 breaststroke, and it's Kimberly Mackay of Midlothian in the green cap and Lauren Doughty in the white cap from Dundee City Aquatics. Both of them swam a 2:53.12 in the heats earlier on, and this is to put them into first reserve position. Now we've seen quite a few call-offs in the finals so far this week, so every chance that the swimmer who wins this will get a swim tonight, but not guaranteed of course. But important to resolve the pecking order, so that's the point of this one, plus they get an extra swim. So they all seem to improve on their heat swim in a swim off. Why is that?
I was about to say that actually, and I think it's one of the beauties of a swim off. You know that most of the time anyway, you know that you're quite evenly matched, and it's a head-to-head duel, isn't it? So it is about racing at that stage, and there's a real big adrenaline pump that goes on. So it's quite often that people set their personal bests and if they're in a swim off compared to some of the the heats or final swims that they might get.
And is that why coaches are always keen to swim them?
Well, it's a good point actually, because more often than not, swimmers do actually swim them. They don't just say I don't want to do it, but I have to say that the reward at the end of it, if it's a final spot, then that's where you want to be. You want to be as far up the pecking order as possible.
So anyway, it's a great start from Midlothian's Kimberly Mackay. She's opened up about 4 meters of advantage against Lauren Doughty here. So at the moment, it's not looking that close. But of course, we're not even halfway yet. So Lauren could come back in the second half. We talked earlier when we were talking you through the 200 breaststroke of the different approaches and different tactics in this race. So although Kimberly has a healthy halfway lead of 4 seconds, well, you never know in the second half whether Lauren could come back at that, but she's got some work to do.
Well, you've seen there going through in 1:19, and she was 2:53 in the heat. So she's either going to smash that PB or the wheels are going to come off at some point.
Yeah, well, let's hope the wheels don't come off for Kimberly, and she's certainly looking very good still down this third 50. And, well, sometimes you see a very tight contest in the swim-offs. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case here. Kimberly is making a statement here, and she comes in 2:03.45 with 50 to go, so pacing around about the 44-second mark. So we said 2:53 her time in the heats along with Lauren, but expect her to go under 2:50 here.
Yep, another one of those 50s would see her come nice comfortably under 2:50, but the gap on the pacing quite large. But she's certainly committed herself right from the start of the race, very positive, decided she was going to take it out, try and hang on at the back end, and that's exactly what she's done, and it looks like she'll be rewarded for that commitment by a place in the finals.
Well, certainly his first reserve is what this is all about. And Kimberly Mackay then does take the swim off and does come under 2:50, comfortably under 2:50, 2:48.79. So some 4 and a bit seconds inside her time in the heats, 2:53.58, Lauren. So she was just within 4/10 of her heat swim, but not quite on Kimberly's pace in that swim off. So well done to Kimberly as we move on to something completely different, and that is the women's 1500 freestyle. So we overall will have 3 heats in this. We've got 2 heats in this morning's session, and the final heat will go later on this evening as one of the races towards the end of our national championships for 2013. So we're just about ready to go with the first of the 2 heats that we saw this morning. And we go with 9 swimmers in this one. In lane 0 is Kirsty Pitts of Perth City. In lane 1, it's first Gemma Brown, her teammate Katie Taylor in lane 2. Lane 3 is Eddie Grant of Dundee City Aquatics. 4, Erin Rafferty of Carnegie. 5 is Caitlin Dryborough of Aberdeen. 6, Isla Gordon of Stirling. 7, Sophie Dodd of Carlisle Aquatics. And 8, Rachel Saxon of South Lanarkshire.
And we've had a nice tweet here from Sophie Dodd's mum, Linda, wishing her all the best for this particular event. So a big shout out to her.
So the Dodds from Carlisle Aquatic. We see quite a lot of Sophie up here in Scotland. That's good to see. And enthusiastic participant in our age group and national championships. So first 100 is in the bag, 1:07.37. So fairly competitive. So 1500 for the women, not swum that often. Again, not an Olympic event, so will these swimmers be able to easily make the transition from the 8 to the 15, or is there adjustments that they need to make?
Well, I think it does require a little bit of an adjustment. It is completely different to the 800. I think in terms of the way that you approach it, and maybe the requirements for the event are slightly different as well, both physically and tactically, the way that you swim it. It is a world championship event, but generally the Britain doesn't select swimmers to swim the individual non-Olympic events at the World Championships. It's almost a kind of an add-on to somebody who might swim the 800 instead. But I do think it requires a slightly different level of training, as well as the way that you actually swim it. I think it's a completely different race.
And is it a good one to double up for the open water swimmers as well?
Well, the open water, quite a lot of these guys will swim a wee bit of both, to be honest with you. But Kerry-Ann Payne, for instance, swims 1500 at every opportunity where it's on the programme. And you'll see Megan Gilchrist later on, and Aisha Thornton. And you'll see them swimming, who are obviously swim a bit of open water also. And it's clearly the longest pool event. And so if you're going to swim 5k or 10k in an open water race, then that's the closest thing you're going to get to it, unless you're putting on a specific distance time trial or something.
And given that they'll be doing a lot of their training in the pool as well, then they'll be doing these long sets as a matter of course.
Indeed, and I very much believe that even if you're an open water swimmer, that your development is done in the pool as a pool swimmer. And then to swim well in open water, you have to gain a range of experiences in open water, whether it's in the sea or whether it's in the flatness of a lake or something like that, different temperatures as well. But I do think the development comes in the pool. The majority of the top level open water swimmers swim very good pool, 1500, very good pool, 800 metre swims as well, and are able to transfer some of that into the open water. I just think that's experience at the end of the day.
And talking about open water, there's I know been some people watching from Spain this weekend, and we've had I believe the test event on open water in Barcelona this weekend with some of the Scottish-based swimmers involved.
Yep, Kerry-Ann Payne, who trains with Laurel Bailey at Warren the Bass Club in Edinburgh, she was out there, and I think she actually won the event, which is a good step forward again in terms of the progression of her season. They're both out, her and the other swimmer Danielle Huskisson are both out at Sierra Nevada training in altitude, and so just dropped down to Barcelona for that particular event. Danielle only intended to swim 3/4 of the race just to get a little bit of experience of the route, if you like, and but continued to swim it and actually finish in 8th place, so a very credible result for her. Also Danielle swimming out of the Stirling programme there as well, so both of them out at altitude training and looking to make some last minute gains going into the World Championships late July, beginning of August.
So a big shout out to you guys if you're watching us this morning. I know that there have been people viewing from Spain, so was it you? Tweet us in and let us know. So meanwhile, if we focus a bit on the racing, we're coming towards the 500 mark, and it's Erin Rafferty of Carnegie has about a 5 metre advantage on Caitlin Dryborough, and the yellow cap of Isla Gordon of Stirling, and just behind her Dundee City Aquatics Hayley Grant. So they're the leading 4 with 2 blue caps, Sophie Dodd and Rachel Saxon in lane 7 and 8, and then over in lane 0 Kirsty Pitts up almost with them. Fairly even pacing really in the scale of a distance event, about 8 meters maybe between the top 5 or 6. Erin Rafferty of Carnegie, the 15-year-old, has led throughout, and her lead 4 or 5 meters. So that's pretty static, I think, at the moment. Is fairly steady, about 3 seconds from Aberdeen's Caitlin Dryborough.
I think it's very important, at least in the 1500, to keep things absolutely even as you go through. On the other hand, some people like to swim progressive 500s as you go through, so you progress 1 to 3. And sometimes when you do that, it's just the actual expenditure of the energy. It allows you to keep it more level as you go through, in which case it keeps the times the same all the way through. So even though you think sometimes that you're going a little bit quicker because you're putting in a bit more effort, it actually just makes sure that you're maintaining the times all the way through.
Yeah, that was exactly the point Heather Albin was making yesterday on the men's 800 freestyle. Exactly that point of, so that she described it, I think, as decreasing through the race, so that you were working and trying your hardest to swim steadily faster through the race, and in practice that meant you were pretty much holding your pace.
That's right, and it's actually developing that feel for what you're doing there, so you know what's actually happening. It's an awareness of what's happening, and that comes from the hours of training in the pool and knowing exactly what it is that you're doing, and the feedback that you're getting from your coach or from your fellow athletes in the pool.
So 3.5 seconds the gap at that last split from Erin Rafferty and Caitlin Dryborough, so it's just slightly increased. Still very much in touch is Isla Gordon and Ailey Grant. These 4 now just a little bit of water between them and the 2 blue caps of Rachel Saxon and Sophie Dodd as they go through the 700 mark. Around about 1:15 pacing here. It's been fairly consistent around that mark so far through the race. This next turn will be halfway. Scotland, we've always kept the 1500 women and the 800 men in the programme, both at national age groups and at these championships. So I know British swimming tend to follow the Olympic programme in the years where there isn't a world championship. So why do we do it differently?
Well, there's a couple of key reasons, to be honest with you. I think first and foremost, it's a legitimate swimming event, so I think that's quite important. And just because it's not an Olympic list of events, it's a World Championship event, and it's a race in itself. And I would certainly hope that in due course that there's a marrying up between the male and the female events, and at an Olympic standard, although I do think it's probably unlikely, but it is a legitimate event, and there's no reason for us not to race that and give kids the opportunity. And certainly from a developmental point of view as well, I think it's quite important that the swimmers do have that opportunity as a youngster. It's quite an aerobic event, primarily an aerobic event, so if we're looking for youngsters to develop the aerobic end of their sport, then the 1500 and aiming to swim the 1500 successfully is a very important part of that.
So you'd encourage programmes to, certainly particularly their distance swimmers, to embrace these events?
Well, as an age grouper, I wouldn't consider anybody to be a sprinter, or an age grouper, I would consider the age grouper to be a swimmer.
Yeah,
in which case they should be swimming 1500, but in the same way as they should be swimming 100. So they get a range of different events, but as you move up and get older, then as we were talking about earlier, then it becomes a little bit more specific. Think about the developmental side of a youngster, probably a little less muscle mass when they're younger, in which case they're not actually sprint orientated at that particular point in time, so more aerobic focus there. And so the 800 and 1500 metre focus, 400 medley, that sort of thing, skills, aerobic background, that sort of stuff, then I think that's quite important.
Okay, so expect to see women's 1500 and men's 800 in the Scottish programmes going forward. You've heard it here from the man who decides these things, Performance Director Ali Wyke. So we...
That's very kind of you, Duncan, actually. I have to say that, considering you're the chair of the National Swimming Committee as well. But I'm quite happy to, be all things decision making now.
Well, the tactic is to make you think you are, so there we go.
So look forward to the next meeting.
Enough of that. We've got a tight contest on our hands for third place here. And that is Isla Gordon and Hayley Grant. And Isla Gordon had a very good 800 earlier on, of course. Dad Richard now out in Singapore. So if you're watching us, Richard, then a big shout out to you. Tweet us in. If you're not watching, why not? Yep, quite. You've got your daughter in the pool swimming well. So let's hear from you. It would be great to hear how you're getting on. So into the final third of the race. And certainly Erin does look to have been taking it very steadily, very even pacing so far. Would you then start to be winding it up at this stage?
I think certainly that's the mentality that you've got to have. And so you'll have a race plan before you come in. You're trying to execute that as best as possible. But invariably, coaches would always like to see that gradual increase in effort and pace as they go through. So you'd certainly expect some of these swimmers to be doing that. But of course, that links directly into the conditioning that you've got and the way that you've executed the race. If you've gone out a bit too quick at the start, it's going to be pretty hard to actually wind it up at the back end unless you've had a nice bit of recovery in the middle.
So then let's just check the gap now between Erin and Caitlin. 13:36 for Erin, so still on the 1:15 pace. 13:42 for Caitlin, so 5.5 seconds that gap. So it has just been gradually stretching out. The contest for third at the moment is slightly in Hayley Grant's favour, the Dundee City Aquatic swimmer in lane 3. Looking at the entry times here, 18:45 up to 19:11. Looks like Erin pacing inside her 18:45 pace by maybe 10 seconds or so. So going quite nicely. The top swimmers that we'll see tonight in the mid 16-minute territory, so quite a step up when we get there, but still got quite a lot of swimming ahead of us with this one and heat 2 before we get there.
And Erin Rafferty certainly has made some good progress over the last 4 or 5 months. So well in all of her events, really.
So 14:51, another 1:15 clocked off. Gap now just about 6 seconds, so picking up roughly half a second per 100 meters on Caitlin Dryborough. Hayley Grant now has a bit of a gap over Isla Gordon. So Richard, you should be shouting at your computer now, driving your daughter on.
Maybe it's just as well he is in Singapore then, after all, eh?
Can you hear him?
And Erin Rafferty really picking up that 6-speed leg kick. That's tremendous. Working super hard now. I just noticed on the last turn there that perhaps her skills off the wall had just deteriorated a little bit as she's got a little bit more fatigued, but she's certainly working hard. Look at that leg kick go now.
Really beating away, isn't it? It always amazes me that swimmers can maintain that. I suppose it is down to physical conditioning.
Yeah.
I think I'd be dead after half a length of doing that.
Yeah, she's just about making 5 meters off the wall there, just not quite streamlined. Certainly the effort is there, and I think you're right there, Duncan, that it is about the frequency of training well and doing things properly on a daily basis. I think that's the thing that makes a difference and ingrains it into the athlete at that point. And I think an athlete and a coach have a responsibility to do that. It's an approach, it's a mindset. You're always trying to actually improve it and make it better.
And the Carnegie program that Erin is part of is certainly producing some really strong swimmers at the moment in that sort of teenager category, both boys and girls.
Yep, Coach John Schranek working extremely hard with the rest of his coaching team to help to progress these athletes. John has a full-time job as well, so commits a considerable amount of time to the sport, and I think the swimmers are obviously getting the benefits of that.
Yep, and Erin then coming in to take the bell, 17:22:33, so another 1:15 on there, so I think we maybe be looking if she can cut that down maybe to what, 1:12, 1:13 in the final stages, maybe an 18:35, something like that.
Yep, absolutely.
So entry time for 18:45. It's tightening up here behind her, and Ailey Grant is putting in a bit of a challenge on Caitlin Dryber in this last 100, and I think as Isla Gordon is going to have to settle for fourth, but Caitlin will have to work down this last length to hold off the challenge of Ailey Grant. They're around about 2 seconds apart in entry times, so probably going to be around that in the pool as they come down the final length then. Half a length to go for the leader, Erin Rafferty of Carnegie. She's going to take this. It's still a race for second. Caitlin Dryber has had second throughout. She's got to work her socks off now down this last 20 metres to hold on to it from a determined challenge from Ailey Grant. Erin Rafferty then takes it, and nice swim, 18:34.98. It takes 11 seconds off her entry time. It is Caitlin Dryber who withstands the challenge and takes second, 18:43.49. She also improves by about 9 seconds. And Ailey Grant just behind her, 18:44.71. That's exactly 10 seconds to the 100th inside her entry time. Coming in behind her, Isla Gordon, 18:51. So nice improvement for her as well. And 19:00 for Rachel Saxon, 19:07 Sophie Dodd, just improves her time by a 10th. That a PB is a PB. And over on the far side, Kirsty Pitts ahead of, well, just behind Katie Taylor, and leaving us with Gemma Brown coming down her final length. So it just this final swimmer to come in, and we'll then summarize the result for you. So will they be pretty tired at this stage as they hang on the lane ropes? Indeed. Should be, I guess.
Yep, I think we're looking forward to the swim down.
So the summary, Erin Rafferty first, 18:34.98. Caitlin Dryber second, 18:43.98. And third place was Ailey Grant of Dundee City Aquatics. So into Heat 2. All 10 lanes in use here. Range of time 17:58 up to 18:42. And the field is Lucy Illingworth of South Ayrshire in 0. Lauren Walker-Stewart of Hearts in 1. Jenna Lafferty of First in 2. India Dodd of Warrender in 3. Jessica Christie, South Aberdeenshire in 4. Jessica Thompson of Geary in 5. Mari High of Ren 96 in 6. Olivia Jackson of South Lanarkshire in 7. Kirsten Clark of City of Glasgow in 8. And Beth Armour of Aberdeen in lane 9. So we were 1:15 pacing in the last heat from Erin Rafferty. We expect something a bit faster here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the middle of the pool there with Jessica Christie. She's 206 200 freestyler and a 425 odds 400 freestyler, and 910 odds 800 freestyler. So she's got an ability to swim across the range of the event. So I think she'll go quite steady to begin with, and then hopefully crank that up. Very High's decided to take it out, commit herself to it, and hopefully she'll be able to maintain that pace. But on the other hand, hopefully she's not going out too quick and going to pay for that later on in the race.
Well, we'll find out in the next 17 minutes or so. It certainly is Mari High who has made the early move. It's a four-way contest for second. Over on the far side, Lucy Illingworth, along with the swimmers in the centre lanes, India Dodd, Jessica Christie and Jessica Thompson, and also, well, they are the four, in fact. But it's still the leader, Mari High, coming to 200 metres. She has about 3 metres advantage here. 106 for her first 100, which was a second faster than Erin Rafferty's. She was a 2:21 at this stage, and a 2:17 coming in for Mari. So about 4 seconds in, and 1:11 and mid for that 100. So that is pretty fast opening pace. But certainly at the moment showing no sign that that's a problem, but a long, long way to go. Still, it's the four-way lineup in second, third, fourth and fifth. Lucy Illingworth, the 16-year-old, over in lane 0. India Dodd, Jessica Christie, Jessica Thompson, the three tracking together in the centre lanes. And then a wee bit behind them, pretty much the other 5. Walker Stewart, Lafferty in lanes 1 and 2, and on the commentary side, 7 to 9, Jackson, Clark and Armour, all fairly close. So 300 metres completed, 3:29.64. Just turning in second now is Jessica Christie of South Aberdeenshire. About a metre up on the swimmers either side of her now. So you talked, Ali, about Jessica Christie at the top of the race and maybe just edging into second now. She's got quite a long way to haul back Mari High now, though. She has really pushed out.
She has. Barry's been very, very positive, and as I said, hopefully she'll be able to keep that rhythm and pace all the way through. I would think that Jessica will try to control it a little bit at the start and then progress it a little bit through, which is very, very difficult to happen, because sometimes if you don't get the rhythm straight off, it's quite hard to change it within the race. So it will be interesting to see it unfold. But Jessica's looking fairly easy on that one, and Vanny looks as though she's working pretty hard. So it's about 7 metres at the moment. I think I meant 10 metres actually about at the moment.
So just keep an eye on the gap. It was just over 6.5 seconds there. So we'll see whether that builds or whether Jess starts to claw it back. Of course, she's got lots and lots of time still to make it back. She doesn't need to take a rush of it. And so when a swimmer does go out fast like that and your game plan was something else, do you stick to the game plan?
You have to. I think that's the most important. You can only control what you're doing. You can't control what everybody else is doing. However, that said, if you're in the thick of a race, sometimes you might have to make a decision to change it, because if you're in a situation where you have to, or you want to win the race, then sometimes you've got to react with what's going on round about you. But more often than not, you try to stick to your own game plan, because that's the one you've practiced to get to a level where you can deliver it within the race.
And you trust yourself that at the end of the day you're a faster swimmer than the other one.
Correct.
Okay, so this could be interesting as this develops. high then, 5:54.80. So her pacing has maybe just eased back to about 1:12 mid. So about a second slower maybe than she was earlier on. And the gap, what is that, 6:02 for Christie. So still, what, 7.5 seconds, so maybe increasing still.
Yeah, I just, that's 500 gone now, so I think what we'd see is Jessica just starting to push on this next 500. So 500s building 1 to 3, that might be the plan for Jessica, and then we'll see if they arrive in the place at a similar time.
So we've got the 3 swimmers just behind Jess Christie. Can you see any of them putting in a challenge? Illingworth, Dodd and Thompson.
Well, you never know. Both are pretty tough kids. So if they're gonna do that, then they probably need to stick with Jessica at this stage, because I think she's only going to get quicker. So if they really want to have a challenge, then they probably need to try and stick with her at this stage.
Okay. We've got Clyde on poolside, doing a wee dance. He was doing the breaststroke earlier. He doesn't know that it's a 1500 freestyle that's on the go at the moment. Get a grip, Clyde. So another 1:12 for Mari. An 8-second gap now. So she is continuing to build that gap up. So certainly approaching the midpoint now. No signs of any problems from her. Do you think maybe it's just her style that makes her look as if she's working hard and that she's really quite comfortable underneath, or do you think she is?
No, she's
really
doing a great job
hard
at the moment. I think she is working pretty hard, but she's doing a great job. She's keeping the pace together. That's what our coach would have wanted her to do, keep it nice and even. So there's nothing wrong with that. She's committed herself, and if she's in that kind of shape and she's able to keep it going, then that's absolutely bang on.
Yep, well, she's keeping it going at the moment. Jess Christie is now starting to pull away from the swimmers behind her. It looks like they're going to now be sorting out third place between them. So high then at the 700 mark, 8:19.89. Just signed slightly slower that time. And the gap, 7 and a bit seconds, so roughly the same as it was in the previous 100. So yeah, it could be interesting here. India Dodd just ahead of Jessica Thompson, the 15-year-old against the 14-year-old, both youth development squad members. And over on the far side, Lucy Illingworth still with them, ahead of Kirsten Clark and lane 2 Jenna Lafferty. Back then to Lauren Walker-Stewart and Olivia Jackson, and finally Beth Armour, who's maybe just finding it tough in lane 9. So we're now into the second half. Mari High approaching the 800. So just as a frame of reference, Erin Rafferty was on 9:51 here, so you can see this is quite a bit faster. 9:32, about 19 seconds up on the first heat, and the gap still, well, slightly under 8 seconds. So we're still very much around that sort of 8-second differential between Mari and Jess. Getting some good feedback from you on the live feed, so thank you very much for that. Dalriada, a normal guy, but following Scott Swim Live. So hope you're enjoying it, Dalriada, and hope the rest of you are. Didn't catch that. Just a reminder about the Twitter feed. So please do give us your feedback. It is hashtag SGN13Live is where you can tweet us. Hashtag SGN13LIVE. And of course, remember the pictures as well. Hashtag SGN13PIX. So don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. So, Mari High then. It's looking good for her still.
She is. She's still looking very strong at the moment. Still, tempo's still quite high. No pun intended, of course. But she's working really well at the moment. Very positive swim from the start. And maybe just dropping a little bit, but still looking quite good, I have to say, Duncan.
So, marathon swimmers talk about the wall. Is there a wall in 1500 meter swimming?
Well, I guess when I swam, my coach used to call it the elephant, jumping on your back. Usually around about the 900, 1000 mark. And then managing to get through it.
So 11:59 plays 12:05 high. So we're just there. Well, just under 7 seconds. So not that much different from what it was a few hundred meters ago between High and Christie. Yes, I heard one coach a couple of days ago talk about a piano landing on your back in the closing stages, much the same thing as the elephant, I guess.
Yes, I'm not sure which one I would rather have, but might get a better tune from a piano than you would do from an elephant.
A better burger from the elephant.
Oh, well, anybody out there that's been having elephant burgers, then please feel free to tweet in at Scottish Swimming Live.
Certainly, I don't think Mari High will have been on the burgers. She's going to be pushing hard in the closing stages here. So this is coming up, 400 to go at this turn. And just over 13:11, 13:11.69. So maintaining that sort of 112 pace, and well, the lead is starting to shrink a bit now. It's under 6 seconds. It's not been that level for a while. So Jessica Christie, I guess she has to start working that lead now if she's got any chance of whittling it down.
Yeah, she needs to be taking off at least a second and a bit per 100 now. So I'm not sure she's got that in her to do that way, but I think you'll find that the gap does get a little bit smaller. Just not quite gone early enough.
So we'd be interested in her comeback if maybe she was within 5 seconds at the next 100.
Yeah.
Well, I think she is working it down. So could be interesting here in the latter stages. If we go back to third place, it's still a fairly tight contest. India Dodd, the Warrender swimmer, has the advantage over Jessica Thompson. 18:05 India's entry time against Jessica's 18:03, so looks to at the moment to be getting one on the slightly faster entry time swimmer. And then just behind them, Lucy Illingworth. 14:24 for Mari at 1200, 14:30. So still about 5.5 seconds, so not quite to that 5 seconds that we were talked about earlier. So it is shrinking. I guess she'd want to try and get herself in a place where her sprint skills could come into play, but just needs to work that now in the next 100 or two if she can.
I think you're absolutely right, Duncan. If you're in striking distance, then you commit that last little bit of effort.
So can Jessica Christie get a big comeback in here? There's what now, about 5-6 meters separating them. 200 to go, 15:37. So still around the 112 pace. So Mari High is holding that together pretty well. The gap now, what, 4.5 seconds or so. So another second bitten off there. but a second, 100, 200 to go, doesn't really compute in terms of Jessica coming back. Still India Dodd holding third from Jessica Thompson and Lucy Illingworth. That one still has some thing to go before that gets resolved. India Dodd will have to work hard, I think, to hold off Jessica Thompson in the remaining 3 lengths and a bit. So just check the gap between them with 150 to go, 16:29 and 16:31, so a couple of seconds in it. But going back to the front, and they're going to hear the bell on this turn, and it'll be tolling for Mari High. First of all, 16:49.51. 16:54.16, so another second knocked off there, down to around 3.5 seconds, but as we rather thought, or Ali rather thought, it doesn't look on for a final push here. Still India Dodd holding third place by about 3 meters from Jessica Thompson, as Mari High turning for the final time, so heading for home on a 17:24 at 14:50. So her entry time was 18:50, and I think she's going to bite quite a lot off that. So this has been an excellent swim. She really took it out strongly and has held on very well throughout the race. So hats off to Mari High, 15 meters to go. So she's going to bring it in. Mari High then, 17:58.75, gets under 18 minutes, and we'll be very happy with that. Jessica Christie comes in second, 18:05.43. I think she realised in the closing stages that the game was up there. And India Dodd taking third, holding off Jess Thompson. 18:15 for India and 18:17 for Jessica. Final thoughts on that race from Mari?
Yeah, it was an excellent effort from Mari, fully committed and well deserved on that particular swim. She put herself out there, and it's a lovely PB, kept it pretty even all the way through. And her coach Sandy Blackwood at round 96 will be delighted with that, I think.
Yep, I'm sure he will be. The final swimmers just coming in now. Olivia Jackson just about to touch in 8th spot, 18:54, and our final swimmer, Laura Walker-Stewart, just on the 19 minutes. Oh, in fact, one more. My apologies to Beth Armour. Final 15 now for her in lane 9. And that will complete the action from the morning session. So just summarising the result, Mari High 17:58.75, Jessica Christie second 18:05.43, India Dodd third in 18:15.75. So we're done with session 10, the Sunday morning session here at the Scottish Gas National Championships at Tollcross International Swimming Centre. It's been an enjoyable 2 or 3 hours with you, Ali, taking us through this, and we'll be back this afternoon at just before 1:15 with more live coverage. Thanks very much, Ali, for your company.
Thank you. Cheers.
And we will be back again, as I said. Don't forget to keep tweeting, hashtag SGN13Live, hashtag SGN13Pics for your pictures on Instagram. That competition still going strong. So that's it from us in Glasgow for now. We'll see you again at 1:15, but until then, we're signing off here from Glasgow.
The British Gas Swim Britain Challenge is a great way to get the whole nation involved, be more healthy, be more active.
It's a giant relay race. We need teams of 4, so hopefully lots of people can get involved. Swim Britain are providing training sessions. This will encourage people to see the benefits of improvements.
Swim Britain will really help me break away from my busy schedule, just get away from everything.
That element of teamwork and training in a group is great fun. You know, anyone can swim no matter what your kind of fitness or sport and background.
That's what's brilliant about this, is that it is a team event. It just makes it so much more fun. You can all cheer each other, support each other on.
I want to take part in Swim Britain because I want to get fitter, lose some weight and make a permanent change to my exercise routine.
So make sure you sign up to this amazing challenge. You never know, I could be on your team.